Chapter 1722. At the same time, she could use her spiritual energy to act as the intelligent consciousness of this soul tool equipment. In other words, it was a system. When the Ice Emperor perfected this soul tool equipment one day, he would be able to unlock the internal seal and activate her spiritual consciousness. Wang Feng didn't expect Qin Yu to do this. He only guessed it when he analyzed it with the primordial chaos origin. Judging from the Ice Emperor's expression, it was obvious that she didn't know. Ice Emperor, congratulations on reaching a higher level. Qin Yu floated in midair and looked at the Ice Emperor with a smile on her face. From now on, your potential is limitless. This soul tool equipment will allow you to go further. Qin Yu wasn't lying. Wang Feng's perfected soul tool equipment wasn't inferior to the Angel Nebula's void engine. Furthermore, the Ice Emperor's body had been upgraded. Furthermore, she could continue to upgrade. As long as the Ice Emperor continued to cultivate and become stronger, she would automatically upgrade. Even her current strength wasn't inferior to the third-generation godly body in the Angel Nebula. She might even be stronger. Because of Qin Yu's spirit, she would be able to upgrade very quickly. But the price is you. The Ice Emperor didn't seem very happy. No, not me. Qin Yu shook her head. You should be thanking him. His perfected soul tool equipment is several times more advanced than the one I've developed. Qin Yu's gaze landed on Wang Feng. She sighed and said, "The Douluo world has been around for hundreds of years. I can still understand a little from the creation of the life-soul contract. But I don't understand it now. I don't know what level you've reached." After that, Qin Yu continued, "But the fact that you're here means that you haven't forgotten your original intentions no matter what level you've reached." With Qin Yu's intelligence, she could roughly guess Wang Feng's current level. However, she didn't expect Wang Feng to return to the Douluo world and to this place. Wang Feng coughed a few times and looked at the Snow Empress. "You can only achieve success if you don't forget your original intentions." Qin Yu smiled. The Snow Empress squinted her eyes. She was clearly very pleased with his words. "What a smooth talker," the Ice Emperor muttered. Looking at Wang Feng, he snorted and said, "Wang Feng, thank you." "It's nothing." Wang Feng waved his hand. "What a cocky fart." The Ice Emperor pouted and said, "You're really impressive now. Even the soul tool equipment that Qin Yu has been researching for her entire life is nothing to you." "It's not a big deal. Maybe he's just being modest." Qin Yu smiled. "Maybe it's as easy as lifting a finger for him. It's as easy as a god awakening a 6-year-old child's martial soul." The Ice Emperor was stunned. He felt that this comparison was too modest. Was it that exaggerated? "Qin Yu, don't you think this analogy is a bit inappropriate?" The Ice Emperor couldn't help but say. "You don't have to be so modest, do you? Didn't you say that even the Sun Moon Empire's Class 10 soul engineers won't be able to touch the surface of your soul tool equipment without at least 1,000 years? Qin Yu smiled but didn't say anything. She knew that she was lucky to have been able to research this item. She still lowered her voice. "It's indeed inappropriate." Wang Feng nodded and said, I didn't expect you to be so modest." The Ice Emperor was a little surprised as he looked at Wang Feng. "I think I should put it this way." Wang Feng continued, "It's like a godly king awakening a 6-year-old child's martial soul." The Ice Emperor was speechless. Qin Yu couldn't help but laugh. She wasn't unhappy at all. Instead, she added, "I think this analogy is more appropriate." The Ice Emperor rolled his eyes at the two of them. "Then from now on, will you always be in this form?" The Ice Emperor hesitated for a moment before asking. "Yes." Qin Yu nodded. "I'm a spiritual body, so I can't appear in this world at will. Otherwise, I'll be suppressed by a mighty force and sucked in. They can only exist in your soul tool equipment as a special spiritual life form with sentient intelligence. I'll help you develop and upgrade this soul tool." Qin Yu was referring to Shi Yu's control over the heavenly Tao's samsara. Although the Douluo divine world didn't have an organization like the underworld, the black and white impermanence wouldn't detain these souls. However, soul life forms would be automatically absorbed by the sea of reincarnation. That was the power of the heavenly Tao. The powerhouses of the Douluo world, even if they exceeded rank 100, would not be able to break free from the power of the heavenly Tao reincarnation. For example, the dark demon world's spirit domain was even more perverse, and could directly absorb the souls of other worlds by force. Once they were slaughtered by the dark devil world, their souls would be directly sucked into the soul domain. It's actually pretty good. Qin Yu said, when you become stronger in the future, you can create a life for me. I can also live in this world in another way. The Ice Emperor's eyes lit up. If that was the case, she would be excited. Wang Feng was silent at one side. With his strength, Qin Yu's soul was still there. It would be easy for him to revive her. However, this was the karma between the Ice Emperor and Qin Yu. He did not need to help. This kind of thing could be left to the Ice Emperor. Wang Feng coughed a few times and said, "Alright, that Ice Scorpion, you still need to get used to this soul tool equipment. Qin Yu is here to guide you. Don't delay, hurry up and go." How could the Ice Emperor not understand that Wang Feng was trying to chase him away? Then, he would talk to his sister alone, and then whisper sweet nothings to her. The Ice Emperor snorted softly and only said, "Don't bully my sister." After that, he left. Only Wang Feng, the Snow Empress, and Little Ice Lotus were left. "Daddy, I want to play alone. There's a very tall tree in front. I want to climb it." Little Ice Lotus squeaked as she spoke. After she finished speaking, she struggled out of the Snow Empress' arms and jumped onto the ground. She blinked at the two of them. "She's so sensible," Wang Fengxin said. The Snow Empress hesitated for a moment. She wanted to stay with Little Ice Lotus for a while longer. However, Wang Feng said, "Alright, be careful. If you're afraid, go and find your aunt." Little Ice Lotus nodded like a chick pecking at rice. Then, she skipped away. The Snow Empress blushed. "They're all gone." Wang Feng walked over and hugged the Snow Empress. "It's best to be alone." The Snow Empress did not struggle. She only said, "It's fine if you want the Ice Emperor to leave, but why do you want the child to leave too? Isn't she our child?" "Of course she is," Wang Feng said seriously. "It's just that Little Ice Lotus is sensible. She knows that she should give her parents some time alone. I'm not the one who chased her away." The Snow Empress pursed her lips and punched Wang Feng. "Do you like children a lot?" Wang Feng asked. "I like Little Ice Lotus a lot." The Snow Empress nodded and said seriously, "It's just that you gave her life." She sounded a little guilty. Wang Feng felt the Snow Empress' graceful curves and thought for a moment. "Isn't that simple? We can have another child. What do you think about having another child using the human method?" After hearing this, the Snow Empress' beautiful face turned as red as blood. She sounded a little shy, but she was still very serious. "All right." Her gentle reply caused his heart to flutter slightly. Chapter 1723. He sent us away. This stinky man wants the two of them to be intimate. The Ice Emperor walked to the other side. His voice sounded as if he had eaten a basket of lemons. "Isn't this normal?" Qin Yu floated around the Ice Emperor and laughed. "They already have a child. What's wrong with being intimate?" "I say, Ice Empress, are you jealous of Wang Feng or of your sister?" The Ice Emperor was stunned. He didn't react for a moment. "What nonsense are you talking about?" The Ice Emperor's face turned red. He glared at Qin Yu. "Don't think that you can tease me as you wish just because you're in spirit form, Qin Yu. It was important to know who to be jealous of. Bing Bing, you've been by my side for hundreds of years as a soul-bonded beast." Qin Yu's expression didn't change. Instead, she looked at the Ice Emperor with interest. "Do you think I don't know you?" "You don't know." The Ice Emperor raised his head slightly and snorted. Qin Yu smiled. Perhaps the Snow Empress, as her sister, couldn't tell, but she was different. The Snow Empress had been asleep for too long. There were many things that she didn't know. At least, Qing Yu knew that when the Ice Emperor was saved by the life-soul contract created by Wang Feng during the 600,000-year heavenly tribulation, the Ice Emperor probably had the shadow of a certain man in her heart. Qing Yu felt it even more clearly during the summit tournament in the human world. She was extremely angry when she saw that Wang Feng had an intimate relationship with the mysterious silver-haired woman. She said that she did it for her sister and secretly stopped it. In fact, only she knew. Qing Yu knew even more clearly when Wang Feng left the Douluo world a few hundred years ago. Who knew how many times the Ice Empress had secretly gone to the sacred mountain? She even found out a few times. However, she always used her sister as an excuse. She said that she was helping her sister take a look at that stinky man. In reality, Qing Yu sighed and shook her head slightly. At this moment, faintly, a low moan could be heard from afar. The moans made the Ice Emperor's body stiffen. She had heard that sound before. In the human world, such a sound would be emitted during sexual intercourse. Although she had already walked far away, her body had just leveled up, and her senses were extremely powerful. She could sense everything clearly even though she couldn't control it at all. Men only know about those things all day long. Ice Emperor's face was red, but her mouth was full of disdain as she said, "I wonder how long you will bully Big Sister. I didn't expect that a life form at his level would be so passionate about love," Qing Yu said thoughtfully. "So what if he's at this level? And he's not a stinky man," the Ice Emperor said. "Bing Bing, perhaps you don't understand, but I do." Qing Yu shook her head. Wang Feng's current cultivation base has reached a terrifying height. He's much higher than any god you can imagine. It was reasonable to say that this level of life form had already transcended the mortal world, and it was very difficult for it to be limited by love. Not to mention these kinds of love that only mortal beings are passionate about. "In my opinion, it's normal for him to forget your big sister," Qing Yu said. "He dares." Ice Emperor didn't understand Qing Yu's words. She didn't need to understand. Qing Yu didn't say anything. Her intelligence was extremely high. Even if she hadn't reached that level, she could feel what kind of existence a higher level of life form was. Soul beasts like the Ice Empress, who were more straightforward, wouldn't think about such things. "This sound is too noisy." After a while, Ice Emperor blushed and said irritably, "Forget it, let's go see little Ice Lotus. She's my niece." With that, Ice Emperor ran away as if she was escaping, and found little Ice Lotus climbing a tree in the distance. At this time, little Ice Lotus was climbing a jade essence tree that was about 100 meters tall. The branches and leaves of this kind of ice tree were crystal clear, and the cold air was oppressive. The branches were covered with many icicles that looked very sharp. Little Ice Lotus was climbing a little strenuously. From afar, she looked like a little worm, wriggling up the tree one after the other. Ice Emperor found it funny, but she was also attracted by little Ice Lotus's cute appearance. But she didn't help, and instead watched little Ice Lotus climb up the tree step by step. Little Ice Lotus panted, her face red. She stood on the tree top, swaying back and forth, looking ahead excitedly. But the tree top wasn't stable. She just stood there, but before she could stabilize herself, her body tilted down. "You little brat, be careful." Ice Emperor hurriedly hugged the girl and stood on the tree top again. "Little ant." Little Ice Lotus was startled, and looked at Ice Emperor a little embarrassedly. She was probably a little scared. "What? Are you afraid that ant will eat you?" Ice Emperor glared at little Ice Lotus fiercely, and then burst into laughter. Little Ice Lotus also laughed. "Oh, that's right. Little Ice Lotus, tell me what happened on your way here." Ice Emperor thought for a moment, and then suddenly asked, "What kind of enemies did that cheap dad of yours encounter on your way here?" Although Wang Feng didn't tell her the details of the battle, She really wanted to know how Wang Feng dealt with the enemy. She didn't sense any battle waves the entire time. Enemies? Little Ice Lotus was a little confused. I don't think we encountered any enemies? That's impossible. The Ice Empress looked at Little Ice Lotus in shock. Good girl, think about it carefully. Little Ice Lotus thought for a long time. With her current intelligence, although the concept of enemies was a little vague, she seemed to have thought of something, and then said, Aunt, you're talking about those flies, right? A fly. The Ice Empress was stunned again. Qin Yu was also slightly surprised. Ice Emperor had told her what happened just now, so she knew a little about it. But what did this have to do with flies? Good girl, are you mistaken? Ice Emperor rubbed Little Ice Lotus' head. They're enemies, not flies. But there are only flies, Little Ice Lotus murmured. Tell the child to tell us the whole story, Qin Yu reminded. The Ice Empress hurriedly nodded. Little darling, how did that fly appear? Tell me all about it. Little Ice Lotus tilted her head and thought for a moment, and then said, When Daddy came, he took me to play snowball. Then we saw several people in black clothes. Daddy told me to use snowballs to kill flies. Then, those people in black clothes turned into flies. Later, Daddy told me that those people were originally flies. Daddy and I used snowballs to kill those annoying flies one by one. Ice Emperor? ? After hearing this, countless question marks appeared in Ice Emperor's mind. What's going on? Those people in black were emitting such a powerful aura, and they seemed to have a bunch of million-year soul rings. How did they turn into flies? Or did they turn into flies? Are you kidding me? Could it be a fly martial soul? Then there should be some battle waves, right? I understand, Qin Yu whispered. She glanced at Ice Emperor and gave her a hint with her eyes. Ice Emperor was reminded by Qin Yu's gaze, and vaguely thought of something. She took a deep breath. You mean? Chapter 1724. That's right. Qin Yu sounded a little shocked. They must have been turned into ordinary flies by Wang Feng. Then, he used ordinary snowballs to smash them to death. The Ice Emperor felt a chill down his spine. She wouldn't be surprised if Wang Feng had killed those men in black through battle. That was because he had always been very strong. Although those men in black had a few million-year soul rings, they couldn't break through that barrier. They couldn't be stronger than Wang Feng. However, to turn them into flies and smash them to death with snowballs, that was beyond her imagination. Now you know what I mean, right? Qin Yu looked ahead with a deep gaze. The Ice Emperor was speechless. Even with the strength of those men in black, he could turn them into flies and smash them to death with ordinary snowballs. It was like playing with them. If he really wanted to take them back, they would be gone in the blink of an eye. The Ice Emperor sighed faintly and didn't say anything else. The Snow Empress had the word snow in her name. However, Wang Feng didn't feel cold at all. On the contrary, he felt very hot. It was wonderful. Wang Feng was lying in a small house built from a jaded spirit tree. At this moment, he was thinking about many things as he was in his sage state. After emptying his mind, he even gained some unique insights into the will of Pangu's axe that had created the heavens. The Snow Empress' eyes were misty as she rested on his arm. She was still panting and her face was still red. Wang Feng was deep in thought. She was different from the Qianrenxue. The Qianrenxue was cold and arrogant. He had a dignified aura. After all, he was the queen of the Angel Nebula. After so many years, his aura had probably surpassed that of his mother, who was once the Pope and the leader of the Federation. Such a dignified aura could arouse a man's desire to conquer. Furthermore, the bodies of the angels in the Angel Nebula were perfect. There wasn't a single flaw. That was an extraordinary feeling. However, the Snow Empress had a different style. She was cold and otherworldly. She gave Wang Feng the feeling that she was a snow fairy from the 9 heavens. However, her body gave Wang Feng a feeling of seduction. Only those who had experienced it would understand it. Actually, I feel that the Ice Emperor. The Snow Empress' voice was soft and lazy as she spoke weakly. Ice Emperor, what happened to her? Wang Feng came back to his senses. We've helped her so much. She can't possibly come and disturb us now, right? No. The Snow Empress shook her head. What I want to say is that me? Wang Feng frowned slightly. What about me? You can't really think of snatching you away from me, right? Besides, she was a female scorpion. What could she do? Doesn't she know that she can't even give birth to a child? The Snow Empress was a little embarrassed as she looked at Wang Feng. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that there's someone she likes. Wang Feng shook his head. I don't know who the unlucky bastard is to be liked by this ice scorpion. He must have done too many bad things in his previous life. The Snow Empress was a little annoyed as she pinched Wang Feng's waist. The Ice Emperor isn't as bad as you say. Why are you pinching me? Wang Feng was puzzled. It's not like you don't know that Ice Scorpion's personality. She's stubborn and pouting. Normal people will suffer if they're interested in her. Even soul beasts will suffer if they're interested in her, let alone humans. Oh yes, who's the unlucky bastard that the Ice Emperor likes? Wang Feng was a little interested as he asked. The Snow Empress looked at him and didn't say anything. Wang Feng was confused. Why are you looking at me? Suddenly, Wang Fengxin's heart skipped a beat. You mean? Wang Feng's voice was a little shaky. This unlucky bastard. Can't be. Yes, it's you. The Snow Empress squinted as she looked at him. Suddenly, Wang Feng's expression froze. He felt that something was wrong and it was ridiculous. Me? How can it be me? That's impossible. I've never flirted with that ice scorpion. Besides, she's so rich. I'm not interested in her. How can she like me? Don't lie to me. Wang Feng felt a chill run down his spine. Logically speaking, Wang Feng wasn't happy that the Ice Emperor liked him. Instead, he was sweating. Although I've been in hibernation for many years, I don't know what happened, but I can feel what my sister is thinking. The Snow Empress was very serious. At the start, I thought that she didn't want you to be with me because of her feelings for me. However, I realized later that she didn't want us to be together, because she might. Stop talking. Wang Feng hurriedly covered the Snow Empress' mouth. That's impossible. Nothing is impossible. Think about it, how many times have you helped her? The Snow Empress sighed. Although she says that you're nothing, she's never looked at anyone else or soul beast other than you. Wang Feng was a little dazed. What's wrong? The Snow Empress looked at Wang Feng with a half-smile. It should feel good to be liked. Don't you have a few around you? Wang Feng could tell that the Snow Empress was a little jealous. The Snow Empress wasn't jealous in the past. Even when he talked about his past and his experiences with other girls, the Snow Empress didn't show any jealousy. However, it was different now. Now that they had slept together, the Snow Empress seemed to have changed a little, no matter how cold she was. That's different. Wang Feng hurriedly said, she's your sister after all. Furthermore, you know that I don't have any feelings for her. What's wrong with being a sister? The Snow Empress sounded a little weird. The two I met that day were mother and daughter, right? Aren't you also? Before she could finish, her mouth was covered by Wang Feng. It's really different, Wang Feng emphasized. The Snow Empress laughed and hugged Wang Feng tightly. She whispered, I don't want to talk about this. Who wants to talk about their sister at a time like this? However, I know that you won't stay here for long. I don't want to talk about this when you leave, because you might leave when that happens. Nonsense. Wang Feng glared at her. Although I won't stay here for long, we can meet often. I'm not the same as before. Meeting is very easy for me. However, you have to focus on other things. The Snow Empress shook her head. You won't be thinking about this. That was true. Wang Feng's next plan was to rebuild the ancestral realm after his 3 souls fused back into one. That would be a huge project. He might meet more enemies. If he wasn't thinking about this, he wouldn't be in the mood for leisure. However, that didn't mean that he didn't have any. However, as for the Ice Empress, Wang Feng might really have forgotten about it. However, it would be more troublesome for Wang Feng to avoid the topic now that the Snow Empress was talking about it. So, have you thought about what to do? The Snow Empress looked at Wang Feng seriously. Wang Feng hesitated for a moment. Why don't we let nature take its course? The Snow Empress was a little stunned when she saw Wang Feng's expression and his answer. After that, she laughed. Chapter 1725. You seem a little afraid? The Snow Empress laughed. How can that be? Wang Feng immediately denied. How can I be afraid of an ice scorpion? Then why do you want to let nature take its course? The Snow Empress asked. Yes, why do I want to let nature take its course? Furthermore, you must have sensed something, right? The Snow Empress lifted her chin slightly. With your intelligence, I don't believe you didn't sense anything at all. I didn't think in that direction. Wang Feng shook his head. Let me explain it to you now. If the Ice Emperor really likes you, what will you do? Are you going to let nature take its course? The Snow Empress repeated her question. With her personality, she won't let nature take its course. Wang Feng pondered for a moment and looked at the Snow Empress strangely. Then what do you want me to do? Do you want me to accept or reject her? The Snow Empress snorted. I'm asking you, but you're pushing the question back to me. You're too much. Wang Fengxin said. Neither accepting nor rejecting her is beneficial. If I answer, it won't be as simple as too much. Forget it. Given the Ice Emperor's situation, you won't be able to avoid it sooner or later. You'll have to make a choice one day. The Snow Empress sounded a little lazy. Actually, whether you accept or reject her, Wang Fengxin was delighted when he heard this. Does the Snow Empress support me? That's great. I won't support either, the Snow Empress continued. Wang Feng. Then isn't letting nature take its course the best way to deal with this? If you accept it, you'll have another woman by your side. If this was in the past, I wouldn't have minded. But now, I can understand what she's thinking. The Snow Empress said slowly. No one wants to share a lover with someone else. That's why I won't support you if you accept it. But if you reject it, the Ice Emperor will be very sad. She's my sister, after all. We've been together for tens of thousands of years. I don't want her to be sad. Wang Feng was enlightened. No wonder the Snow Empress would ask such a question. In fact, she didn't have an answer to this question. No matter how she answered, she wouldn't be satisfied. Women weren't magnanimous. The Snow Empress was a soul beast, and her views were different from those of human females. However, she wasn't the kind of magnanimous woman who could remain calm as she watched more and more women around her man without any emotions. Let's talk about it later. Wang Feng said, I think with the Ice Emperor's personality, even if she likes me, it's different from you. Moreover, now that she has obtained a new power, her mind should be immersed in it. When she becomes stronger in the future, the sky will become wider and wider. Perhaps then she will understand her true feelings. The Snow Empress was a little embarrassed. Although Wang Feng was obviously trying to evade her request, it did make some sense. It was still acceptable. Wang Feng looked at the sky and said, It's still early. Let's exercise a little more. Make sure you're pregnant with a real life. Don't. The Snow Empress tried to push him away. However, under Wang Feng's superb methods, the two words, don't, gradually became the last word. Time passed slowly. Wang Feng stayed in the extreme north for a long time. He wasn't in a hurry. The flow of time in the Douluo world wasn't synchronized with the flow of time in the God realm. Although the Douluo world was steadily improving, it still lacked a foundation and couldn't be compared to the God realm. Therefore, the flow of time couldn't be synchronized with the God realm. It wouldn't hurt to stay here for a few more days. About 2 to 3 months later, Wang Feng's days were very carefree. Although the extreme north was a world of ice and snow, but with the Snow Empress in his arms, it was like a warm jade. It was unusually comfortable. He also brought the little ice lotus to tour the extreme north and many soul beast forests. It was considered a honeymoon with the Snow Empress and teaching the little ice lotus. After that, they went to the human world. The Snow Empress and Wang Feng disguised themselves as a mortal couple and brought the little ice lotus to tour the Federation. They saw the changes in the Federation and saw all kinds of soul tools. There were many changes that even the Snow Empress and Wang Feng didn't expect. There were also changes brought about by soul charmers. Wang Feng could basically collect a considerable amount of faith power every day in the Douluo world. As for the Ice Emperor, it was as Wang Feng expected. She wholeheartedly immersed herself in the process of cultivation. With the help of Qin Yu, she developed the inherent potential of the soul tool equipment and became stronger day by day. It wasn't until a few months later that Wang Feng left the Douluo world under the reluctant gazes of the Snow Empress and the little ice lotus. He went to the Dark Demon world. However, on the way to the Dark Demon world, an interesting thing happened that made Wang Feng feel a little interested. God Realm, Void Space Region. The Douluo Divine World is in front. Our destination. Somewhere, a door of light produced a violent fluctuation in the void. Then, warriors wearing purple armor walked out from inside. All of them emitted an extremely powerful aura, as if they were war gods. There were only 300 of them. I'm from the Purple Blood Battle Clan, a famous warrior on the universe's desolate race list. If not for my god's order, it would be a waste of talent to conquer such a world. My god was too cautious. The general in charge looked ahead with a cold gaze. He held a spear made of black light in his hand. His eyes seemed to sparkle like planets, pulsating with a soul-stealing light. General, according to my god's calculations, the space-time turbulence will attack in about one more universe. At that time, with the strength of the gods here, it should be very difficult to resist the space-time turbulence of such a high-dimensional multiverse. Most of the gods here will be trapped in the space-time turbulence, and the heavenly Tao of this world will collapse directly. A purple blood warrior said, "According to my god's plan, we only need to take the opportunity to save them and bestow them with kindness. Then, we can easily gain the trust of these gods and give them our god's power. Although we can't let them surpass a higher level, we can make them deeply grateful to our god. The gods here are really weak." The general in charge shook his head slightly. It's not that they are weak. The space-time turbulence is the chaos of the multiverse's long river of time and space. When it drowns the unit universe, it's not just their god realm that will suffer. The other planes in this unit universe will also be affected by the space-time turbulence and undergo space-time changes. However, as the leader, the god realm will have to bear the brunt of the space-time turbulence. As the general in charge of the 300 purple blood warriors, he had been to many large worlds in such unit universes. The gods here could not be considered weak. They were still quite strong. Unfortunately, the upper limit was only so high. In this universe, they could not reach a higher level. Unlike their god, who had unlimited potential, space-time turbulence like this was actually a good thing for them. It might even push them into the long river of time and space of the multiverse, giving them a chance to jump out and become powerful beings. End of chapter. Chapter 1726. But the prerequisite was that they had to survive it. Even the space-time turbulence caused by the space-time river in the unit universe contained the great will of time in the universe. There was no living being in this universe that could transcend it. They could only go with the flow. They were lucky to survive in the space-time turbulence. To be able to keep their lives. The general calculated the time. The 300 purple blood warriors waited silently. After an unknown period of time, the general's eyes suddenly flashed. The space-time turbulence is here. This was the moment he had been waiting for. In an instant, the 300 purple blood warriors opened their eyes at the same time and stared into the distance. The space-time turbulence was very difficult for the gods of this world. But they had the support of a special divine light and were not affected by the space-time turbulence. But they still had to be careful. But, a moment later, there was no movement in the surroundings. The general's mind jumped. According to the calculation of time, it should be just right. Why was there no movement? Usually, when the space-time turbulence struck, the entire world would be turned upside down because the entire Douluo divine world would be drifting in the space-time turbulence. The changes caused by it were bound to be earth-shattering. The divine world would also have some collapses and be nibbled away by the endless power of time. Countless gods would be deprived of their lives under this chaotic space-time power. Or they would be thrown out of the universe and turn into dust particles in the endless starry sky. In short, it was impossible for there to be no changes. My God's prediction can't be wrong. Could it be that a third party did something? The general pondered. My God would not be wrong. There was no problem with the timing of the prediction. Then, let's report to my God and see what he has to say. At the same time, divine world, Shiyu tiptoed and looked at the golden sea surface in the Sea of Reincarnation. Wang Feng's avatar in the divine world smiled, but did not say anything. That, Shiyu said with uncertainty, it's settled. It's settled. Wang Feng nodded. How? Shiyu looked around again. Why didn't I feel it? If you can feel the space-time turbulence, then the divine world is now involved in it, Wang Feng said. Shiyu gently touched her chin with her hand and pondered. After emotiance was dealt with, Wang Feng's body didn't leave the divine world immediately. That was because Wang Feng could feel a special power rushing toward the divine realm. It was the power of time. It was the river of time. Wang Feng, who had already cultivated the primordial wheel-time soul, was extremely sensitive to time. Not to mention that his initial wheel-time soul was cultivated from the river of time. Naturally, he had long sensed the sudden space-time turbulence. Shiyu was only the heavenly Tao of the God realm, so she naturally couldn't sense the power that came from the river of time. Especially now, she had yet to transcend and become a universe-level life form, so it was even more impossible for her to sense it. How did you solve it? Shiyu thought for a moment. If I didn't know how you cultivated your primordial soul, I would have thought that you were lying to me. The space-time turbulence itself is caused by the river of time. To me, resolving it is actually very simple. Wang Feng explained. I only need to use the soul of the initial wheel to slightly change the trajectory of the long river of time. However, the changes can only delay the time slightly. The space-time turbulence will still come. Shiyu was stunned for a moment. Isn't that useless? The debate in the God realm can't bear such an impact. Don't worry, I will delay the time so that you can be mentally prepared. Wang Feng said simply. I plan to enter this space-time turbulence and cultivate my primordial wheel-time soul again. When the time comes, I will cultivate the intersection of yin and yang together with yu and yen qingjue to strengthen my primordial wheel-time soul. The soul energy produced will be just enough to complete the last few fragments of the Pangu Axe's true soul. Something happened on Douluo's side, so I can't inherit the origin calamity Godking's universe will for the time being. However, there is still a heaven-splitting will in Pangu Axe, which may allow me to become a universe-level life form. This is a good opportunity. Shiyu understood. Is there danger? Shiyu's tone was very serious. Danger? Wang Feng smiled. There is danger, but you have to understand. As long as the primordial wheel-time soul is cultivated in any river of time, there is no solution. Even if a universe-level life form appears, unless he can annihilate this river of time, he won't be able to cause any substantial harm to me. Shiyu frowned slightly. Was it that powerful? A universe-level life form was beyond the river of time, and was not affected by the will of time. However, to annihilate a river of time at this level meant that one would have to annihilate a timeline of the multiverse. This meant that one would have to destroy a unit universe. The time turbulence caused by this river of time was not an ordinary time turbulence, but a time will that could cause chaos in an entire unit universe. Not to mention the God world, even the Dark Demon world would be greatly affected. Even the time in the other universe connected to the wormhole in the Dark Demon world might be slightly affected. It was very abnormal. But can you withstand the impact of this time turbulence? The primordial wheel time soul is not omnipotent, right? Shiyu was still a little worried. So, don't I still have you guys? Wang Feng shook his head. In the process of cultivation, my primordial wheel time soul is constantly absorbing the power of time and space in the turbulence. The stronger the impact, the faster the cultivation speed. With you and Yen Qingjue, both of you cultivating the yin-yang intersection origin, my two primordial wheel-time souls will cultivate extremely quickly. As long as the cultivation speed is fast enough, the impact of this time turbulence will not be able to keep up with my speed of becoming stronger. Naturally, there will be no danger. Shiyu was silent for a while. So, this is an opportunity. Wang Feng's eyes flashed. And it is an opportunity to rebuild the ancestral realm. Shiyu was stunned again. What does this have to do with rebuilding the ancestral realm? She could not help but blurt out. You will know when the time comes. Shiyu snorted softly. She was a little curious about what Wang Fengxin was planning. Are you ready? Wang Feng asked. Yes. Shiyu replied. It's coming. Wang Feng whispered, let's go. In an instant, his whole body glowed with a bright silver light and finally became invisible, as if he had disappeared. Then, before Shiyu could say anything, he also disappeared. At the same time, my God said that there were some problems with the calculation. Time will go back a little, but it is not a big deal. When we know this news, the time turbulence should be here. The general listened to God's orders. Just as he finished listening, his mind shook. In an instant, he felt an unparalleled power surging towards him from all directions. That was the power of time. The general looked up at the sky, and saw that everything seemed to be in a state of stillness. As if time was not moving, an invisible river appeared in their souls, rippling through the entire world. End of chapter. Chapter 1727. Chant the Formation. As the world turned upside down, the 300 purple blood warriors shouted in unison as they began to mutter an ancient tune. Following that, the bodies of these warriors began to turn transparent, as if they had disappeared from this world and entered a mysterious state. The entire world was in chaos because of the space-time turbulence. However, these purple blood warriors who had entered a certain state were not affected. Phew! The general in charge exhaled softly. This space-time turbulence was not simple. This was a turbulence caused by the long river of time and space. The vast river of time was not something that anyone could withstand. Even if they could withstand the river of time for a while, they would be annihilated by the will of time and space in the river. Of course, with our God's divine light, they would not be affected by the space-time turbulence. At this moment, in the eyes of these 300 purple blood warriors, the small plane in the void domain was also turned upside down, and they were in a formless stream of light. This stream of light was the space-time turbulence. The chaotic space-time energy was floating around them. Their bodies were dyed with a faint layer of light, blocking out the space-time energy, and were safe and sound. Be on guard. We are in the long river of time of this world's universe. This turbulence could hit us at any time. The general instructed, our goal is to use this opportunity to subdue the group of gods in the Douluo divine world. In a moment, when they also fell into this turbulent flow, they would definitely panic and fall like an avalanche. When that time comes, we will display our God's power and make them believe in our God. When that time comes, the entire Douluo divine world and all the subsidiary planes will become our God's believers. Yes. The purple blood warriors with cold expressions answered one after another. It was urgent. They waited quietly. This space-time turbulence would definitely hit the divine world. The void domain, a subsidiary plane of the divine world, had already fallen. Next would naturally be the divine world. At this moment, in this stream of light, the general in charge could feel the movement of the space-time turbulence. The destination was obvious. It was the coordinates of the divine world. He looked ahead, his eyes glowing with a dazzling divine light. Time wheel God's eye. The general shouted. The God eye bestowed by our God could see the flow of time. Normally, it was only used to examine the history of the many small planes beneath our God. At this moment, using it to sense the movement of the spacetime turbulence was the best way to use it. The deity realm is just up ahead. As the surrounding streams of light exploded, the vast river of time and space began to surge wildly. The general stared at him closely. He could already sense the barrier of the God realm. The void dimension space domain was only a wall away from the Douluo divine realm. But at this moment, all of a sudden, a giant hand shot out from the barrier of the divine world. In his hand was a huge blade that seemed to be able to split the universe. It directly tore down from the sky. In an instant, the surging river of spacetime that had transformed into a chaotic flow of spacetime was directly blocked outside. It was as if the floodgates of a dam had been closed. The general could only feel a frenzied surge in the stream of light. The 300 purple blood warriors had to rely on each other to prevent themselves from being swept away. What's that? The general was extremely astonished. Who's helping the Douluo divine realm? Cutting off the river of time? That hand and that blade were able to keep the turbulent river of time at bay outside the barrier of the Douluo divine realm. Cutting off the river of time. This was the river of time of this universe. Unless this universe produced a universe-level life form that could transcend the river of time, it was impossible for them to have the ability to do so. No, even if they could transcend the river of time, they might not be able to cut off the river of time so easily. Could it be that a universe-level god from another god system has made a move? The general had a bad feeling in his heart. That was not very likely. This universe was relatively barren and weak. In the primordial god system universe where my god was, there were almost no universe-level gods that paid attention to this universe. General, the situation doesn't seem quite right. A deputy general said softly. That palm just now cut off the flow of the river of time with a single blade. I'm afraid this turbulence won't rush into the Douluo divine realm for a while. The general naturally knew. But the current situation was unexpected. He could only brace himself and wait. At this moment, that giant palm suddenly retracted. 3 figures from the barrier of the god realm took the initiative to rush into the river of time. What's going on? There are gods who took the initiative to enter the river of time? The general's heart was filled with doubts. But now that they were in the river of time, it would take a certain amount of time to contact my god. Currently, he had to rely on his own experience to deal with it. After thinking for a few seconds, the general decided to advance together. Send 10 warriors to contact my god first and ask how to deal with this situation. The general said in a deep voice, the rest of you follow us first. Let's go and see what's the situation with those 3 gods. The deputy general nodded slightly and responded. Then, he brought several purple blood warriors and temporarily disappeared into the river of time. The general carefully brought the remaining purple blood warriors and followed the direction of those 3 figures in this endless stream of light. Is this the river of time of our universe? Amidst the endless stream of light, Wang Feng brought Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue into this rolling river. The river of time of the universe contained the development of the entire universe, the changes of countless civilizations, the destruction and birth of worlds. It seems like we can't see anything, Shi Yu followed Wang Feng. Her body was enveloped in a faint soul energy. That was the space-time aura emitted by Wang Feng's initial wheel soul. It wasn't affected by the river of time. Of course you can't see anything, because you don't have the strength to spy on the time of our universe. Wang Feng said bluntly, you are only the heavenly Tao of the God world. The God world can barely be considered a large world. But in the universe there are countless large worlds. You can be considered as a derivative of the God of creation who created the God world. With my current realm, that God of creation might not have completely become a universe-level life form. Even if he did, he might have already gone to another universe. Shi Yu glared at Wang Feng with dissatisfaction after being belittled. Once used, there was no value. Previously, when Wang Feng wanted to cultivate the yin-yang intersection origin with her, she was sick of hearing all kinds of compliments. Now that he had cultivated his initial wheel soul and defeated Mo Tian's consciousness clone, his attitude was completely different from before. Of course, as a heavenly Tao with a more Buddha-like nature, Shi Yu wasn't disappointed. Actually, Wang Feng didn't change much. He had always been speaking the truth. Can you see it? Yan Qingjue asked. Wang Feng smiled faintly and said, of course. Furthermore, I also sensed a few pleasant surprises in this river of time. Take a guess. Could it be related to Mo Tian's? Shi Yu asked casually. Wang Feng looked at Shi Yu in surprise. That's right. You guessed it. In this boundless universe time river, I did sense Mo Tian's figure. This means that I might be able to find his hiding place. Chapter 1728. This was good news. It meant that Yan Qingjue's last two incomplete wills of the heavenly embryo were settled. What else? Shi Yu asked. Another surprise. Wang Feng leisurely looked in another direction. There are some extraterrestrial visitors hiding in this long river of time. Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue were slightly shocked. This wasn't a surprise. You mean? Shi Yu asked. This space-time turbulence isn't produced for no reason? Perhaps. Wang Feng thought for a moment. But for now I should cultivate first. This cultivation will take a little longer. However, once I absorb the space-time power of this long river of time, even if I don't have three souls as one, just the initial wheel-time soul will reach the universe level. In theory, to become a universe-level life form, one needed to obtain the will of the universe. But Wang Feng's cultivation was extremely special. His soul was the initial wheel-time soul, and it was cultivated by absorbing the space-time power of the long river of time. And the long river of time contained the will of time. For example, the long river of time of the God world was a branch of this universe's long river of time. The time of the entire universe was like a boundless long river, and the long river of time of the countless planar worlds in the universe was like the streams of this long river of time, converging to form this entire universe's long river of time. In the universe, the flow of time in different planar worlds was different, and the flow of the rivers in these branches was also different. Some flowed rapidly, some flowed slowly. The reason why the God world was hit by this space-time turbulence was because this long river of time produced an intense flow of water, which hit the branch of the long river of time in the God world. Then, the entire Douluo God world was hit by this impact. But it was this impact that allowed Wang Feng to feel this universe's long river of time, and enter it. Take a peek. And the will of time contained in this long river of time was the strongest. He absorbed the space-time power to cultivate the initial wheel-time soul, which was equivalent to cultivating the will of time in the long river of time into his soul. If he could absorb the space-time power of the entire long river of time, then, His initial wheel-time soul would reach a whole new level. But this long river of time was endless. Whether it was the Douluo god world or the branches of the long river of time in the dark demon world, they were worlds apart from this long river of time that represented the entire universe. He had no idea how long it would take for him to finish absorbing all of it. Of course, as the soul of the primordial wheel, it had transcended the river of time. Wang Feng could easily freeze time at this moment. At this moment, he could be endless. As for the other worlds, they were relatively still and would not undergo any changes. It was equivalent to his primordial spirit transcending his primordial spirit in an instant and reaching a higher realm. However, this was just like cultivating in the chaos. He still had to endure endless loneliness. Time didn't flow in the outside world, but it didn't mean that the process of absorbing was also static. Fortunately, there were at least 2 companions this time. "Are you ready?" Wang Feng glanced at the 2 of them and said, "The training this time will be much longer than before. Of course, the outside world can't feel it, but we can. I'm not asking for much. I just want to absorb 1/10 of the space-time energy in this river of time." "I have no problem." Yan Qingju nodded slightly. Cultivating the yin-yang fusion origin was also beneficial to one's soul. As for the boring cultivation process, to her, tens of thousands of years were nothing. Shiyu was a little hesitant, but she also nodded. In the next moment, the 3 of them formed a line with Wang Feng in the center and Shiyu and Yan Qingju on both sides. Originally, Wang Feng wanted to bring Yan Mengyao over to cultivate together. After all, she was also the heavenly Tao of the ancestral realm. However, the ancestral realm had just been born, and Yan Mengyao was very weak. It was very difficult to cultivate here. He could only temporarily let Shiyu and Yan Qingju, these 2 powerful heavenly Tao, and his 2 primordial spirits cultivate here. This was because the yin-yang fusion origin could only be cultivated by a yang soul and a yin soul at the same time. Without Yan Mengyao, the primordial spirit of his main body in the Douluo world couldn't come over. This would cause an imbalance between yin and yang. Wang Feng, who was in the center, had 2 light figures flickering around him. They were the 2 primordial spirits that he had cultivated in the God world and the dark demon world. Shiyu and Yan Qingju's souls were 2 yin souls that reflected a yang soul. In an instant, the vast space-time energy in the river of time surged wildly and rushed towards Wang Feng. The space-time turbulence, which was already extremely chaotic to begin with, rushed towards them ferociously. Rumble! Shiyu and Yan Qingju had just started cultivating when their expressions changed. "The space-time flow is attacking us." Shiyu could only feel a dizziness in her soul, as if it was about to be torn apart. Only Wang Feng had cultivated the primordial spirit of the primordial spirit. They were not affected because of the space-time energy emitted by the primordial spirit of the primordial spirit. Wang Feng was not affected by the space-time flow, but they could only slow down the impact. After all, they were not primordial spirit. Wang Feng pondered for a moment and said, "Come closer and let your souls touch. Let my primordial spirit of the primordial spirit completely envelop you. This impact will be ineffective against us." This time, Shiyu had no doubts. Her soul floated and flew directly to Wang Feng's primordial spirit of the primordial spirit of the primordial spirit. When their souls touched, the feeling of yin and yang merging was even more obvious. On the other side, Yan Qingju did not have any resistance. This kind of cultivation was really pure cultivation. Much better. Shiyu nodded slightly and said, "Let's begin." This time, the 3 of them were not affected at all. He quietly cultivated in this long river of time. At the same time, the general of the Purple Blood Warriors who had been following the 3 of them also followed. They carefully walked in the endless stream of light. "Stop!" the general suddenly shouted. His time wheel god I had sensed it. They took the initiative to fly into the space-time flow. Are these deities crazy? Even if they want to die, it is not so obvious. Just now, there was clearly another existence who was at least at the heavenly cosmos god level helping these deities cross the river of time. They actually took the initiative to fly in. General, this is also a chance for us. A deputy general suggested. No, since there are other heavenly gods involved, this matter is not so simple. I think this heavenly god should not be on the same side as our deity. Otherwise, he would not have taken action midway. The general denied. Maybe the Douluo divine world has already been affected. These deities who entered the space-time flow were most likely expelled. Since they were expelled, it means that there is something wrong with these three deities. Deities with problems are not worthy of our deity's glory. Later, we will just quietly watch them fall. After that, we will wait for our deity's orders. It would be best if our deity could come personally. Just as he finished speaking, a warrior suddenly said, General, look, those three deities. Why does it seem like there are four of them? What are they doing? The general looked towards the direction of the voice and immediately took in a breath of cold air. Chapter 1729. The general looked over and saw four figures standing in the distance. All the space-time energy around them gathered like a storm and wrapped them in it. Then, like a myriad of streams returning to the sea, they fused into it. Although the figures were blurry, as God's kin, as one of the top desolate breed kin, the general could see that they were absorbing the space-time energy in the long river of time. And as they cultivated, the space-time turbulence became more vigorous. It was like a space-time beast that had lost control in the long river of time, rampaging. Retreat! The general ordered. He suppressed the shock in his heart and ordered the surrounding purple blood warriors to retreat. If they were to charge forward now, the space-time energy in the center would crush them into pieces. It was like a hurricane or a tsunami in the sea. This long river of time was usually calm. They relied on the god light to protect them and were not eroded by the space-time energy. But once this long river of time went berserk, it would not be so simple. General, are these really gods from the Douluo divine world? A deputy general said with a trembling voice. To be able to cultivate in the long river of time, even our God can't do it. This long river of time in the universe contains the supreme will of time. Only when our God becomes a true God can he not be affected by it. But this kind of cultivation has never been seen before. Then the Douluo divine world has experts of this level. The deputy general's tone was extremely doubtful. But the reality in front of him was not a fantasy. Moreover, the remaining might coming from that direction made them tremble in fear. The general did not speak. If not for the will of God supporting him, he would have left at this moment. It was too dangerous, but as a god's kin, he had the utmost faith in his God. Without orders, he would not leave. It was just that the fear of pure power and the negative thoughts that arose couldn't be offset. Even as a purple blood warrior who had experienced hundreds of battles, witnessed the destruction of countless worlds, and slaughtered billions of lives were no exception. No matter how strong the genes of their race were. But in front of the gods from the God system universe, they were nothing. This was also the reason why they, the purple blood warriors, could only be classified as a desolate breed kin. Wait. The general said softly. Wait for our God's orders before we move. Right now, we can't make any movement. The other party is cultivating. They might have already sensed us, but they don't know who we are, so they won't pay attention to us. But against an expert of this level, if we even think about it, we will definitely die here. What a joke. An expert who could absorb the long river of time and withstand the will of the long river of time in the universe was not someone they could deal with. In particular, the giant palm and blade that had just sliced through the river of time were enough to prove that the Douluo divine realm was most likely not as simple as it appeared to be. The general had made the right choice. Wang Feng had long sensed their presence. Wang Feng really didn't know the origins of these giant warriors, who seemed to have come from ancient times. But since the other party didn't move, Wang Feng couldn't be bothered with them. He just needed to cultivate quietly. However, Wang Feng was distressed. His cultivation speed was too fast. No, to be more precise, this river of time was too vast. It was the long river of time of this unit universe and contained countless branches of time. Previously, when Wang Feng absorbed the Divine World and Dark Devil World's long river of time, he could be considered to have spent quite a bit of time. But this long river of time was equivalent to the number of long rivers of time in the Divine Realm and the Dark Demon Realm. Even if Wang Feng had already cultivated to the state of the soul of the initial wheel, the speed of cultivating the yin-yang intersection origin would be much faster. But he couldn't cultivate 1/10 of it in a short period of time. Not to mention 1/10, even 1/100th or 1/10,000th of it was very difficult. Although the cultivation speed was slow, the strength of the soul of the initial wheel increased very quickly. There was no other way. This long river of time had too much space-time power. The speed is too slow. If this goes on, not to mention 1/10. Wang Feng sighed. Actually, he could cultivate a little faster. But Wang Feng couldn't make this long river of time more violent because this long river of time was too exaggerated and endless. The momentum caused by Wang Feng's cultivation was equivalent to throwing a bomb on the sun 1/10, was because Wang Feng didn't expect this long river of time to have no end before he started cultivating. And causing space-time turbulence to attack the Divine Realm was only the tip of the iceberg caused by this long river of time. It just happened to bump into the branch of the Divine Realm's long river of time. If he could make this long river of time more violent and make the space-time turbulence stronger, Wang Feng could take the opportunity to expand the range of his cultivation and increase his cultivation speed. But this was too troublesome. Wang Feng would have to spend a lot of effort to cause a bigger space-time turbulence, so he might as well continue cultivating. I can't be too greedy. I'll absorb as much as I can, Wang Fengxin thought. Once this space-time turbulence calmed down, his cultivation speed would drop drastically. At that time, he could either continue to absorb all the space-time power in this long river of time, or he could only come out earlier. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so easy to enter this long river of time again. So Wang Feng said that this space-time turbulence was an opportunity. Wang Feng felt as if he was looking at a mountain of gold in front of him, but he only had a small iron pick. Only he could dig it out. But his speed was too slow. It was too difficult to dig out this mountain of gold. Wang Feng's primordial spirit gradually improved and his soul became stronger. In the process of absorbing, Wang Feng saw the birth and destruction of many worlds and the rise and fall of many civilizations. But as a unit universe, destruction meant disappearance and there was no repetition. This long river of time contained the rise and fall of this universe. Wang Feng could even see the situation before the Divine Realm was created. The God of creation who created the Divine Realm was also a great existence. The creation of the Douluo Divine Realm might have been a casual creation by the latter. But it was a pity that such a great existence didn't become a universe-level life form. But what was interesting was that the other party had passed a round of primordial calamity. One had to know that a primordial calamity was 129,600 years. This was the lifespan of a universe-level life form, and also the first round of the primordial calamity. This kind of calamity was something one had to pass after becoming a universe-level life form. Otherwise, one would die. But this God of creation lived for 129,600 years. He didn't obtain the will of the universe but relied on the 5 supreme origins and his unparalleled body to pass the first round of the primordial calamity. But after passing it, he didn't live for long. It wasn't like what Wang Feng had imagined. He didn't go to another universe. In the end, when his lifespan was nearing its end and his strength was declining, he used his own origin to create the divine realm. Chapter 1730. It's a pity, Wang Feng shook his head. If this god of creation of the godly realm had even one type of willpower, he would have been able to safely become a universe-level life form, transcending the river of time, other than knowing some history. Wang Feng also saw the development of many worlds. This was the second surprise Wang Feng felt. Most of them included the worlds on the Saint Spirit list in the Dark Demon world, such as the immortal ancient nation. Basically, the wormholes in the Dark Demon world led to the same universe. The only special one was the one in the Qian Renshua universe. However, the universe there had a shorter history. The angel civilization was able to rule the universe in tens of thousands of years, and had yet to discover a stronger civilization before them. This was enough to show that the universe there had a very short history. Relatively speaking, the universe where the Douluo divine world was located had given birth to many powerful civilizations. Unfortunately, most of them were destroyed by the initial wheel calamity. Coincidentally, at this point in time, the second round of the initial wheel tribulation was extremely close. The divine world would probably arrive in another 100 years or so. Wang Feng vaguely knew that the universe here was also very weak. Some of the universes had even passed the initial wheel calamity. One initial wheel was equivalent to 50,000 initial wheels, which was equivalent to billions of universe years. Because the origin tribulation divine king's previous universe had passed the one initial wheel calamity, speaking of which, from the many worlds he sensed in the river of time, he could clearly see the development of their cultures. This meant that he could enter them in the future to collect God power of faith. Wang Feng was quite familiar with the systems of some of the world. The reconstruction of the ancestral realm would definitely be inseparable. If he wanted to reach the level of the origin tribulation divine king's previous universe, these were far from enough. The God power of faith was more or less enough to start the process. As he thought about it, Wang Feng's mind suddenly moved. Those warriors seemed a little strange. At the same time, on the other side, the general waited quietly. After a while, he saw the endless stream of light suddenly leave a crack. A divine figure bathed in light descended from above. "Greetings, Spirit Sovereign." The general hurriedly kowtowed and said, "Spirit Sovereign, do you have any instructions from our God?" Spirit Sovereigns were the subordinates of our God. In the divine world, their status was only second to the God they believed in. If a god wanted to nurture a spiritual venerable, it would usually require a large amount of divine power of faith, as well as the origin of the world and the power of the world's providence. The power of providence of a world was closely related to the most mysterious will of destiny in the universe, so it was extremely difficult to obtain. Cultivating a spiritual venerable was not an easy task for a god. The divine shadow in front of him was the head spiritual venerable under my god, Baiyun spiritual venerable. My god has already investigated and found that there are no heavenly god-level powerhouses. What you've seen should be fake heavenly god-level existences that are preparing to undergo their heavenly tribulations in this universe. He's not a true heavenly god. The spiritual venerable spoke slowly. His magnificent divine voice couldn't cause any ripples in this long river of time, but it could clearly reach the souls of all of them. I must obtain the Douluo divine world. A mere false sky god dares to cultivate in the river of time. That's simply courting death. The cloud venerate's tone was calm, as if there were no emotions at all. He's not dead, but because this space-time turbulence is too weak. When he spoke up to here, Cloud Venerate suddenly waved his hand. An item that looked like a gourd landed. This is a heavenly god-level treasure, the time-concealing purple gourd. There's a space-devouring beast imprisoned inside. This beast is extremely dangerous and belongs to the top-notch Holy Seed clan in the universe. My God has captured one. This beast only has one use, and that is to enter the river of time and space and stir up trouble. It can cause space-time disasters and create even more powerful space-time storms. The cloud venerate's divine shadow started to drift. You just need to release it later and cause even more space-time turbulence. Those few false sky gods that are preparing to undergo their heavenly tribulations will definitely escape from the river of time and space. Otherwise, only death awaits them. When the time comes, you can use this gourd to capture this space-devouring beast. Remember, this beast can only be captured by this gourd. If it's not captured, this universe river will definitely be devoured completely. When the time comes, not to mention the Douluo divine world, all the worlds in this universe will be destroyed. My God won't be able to spread his faith here. The general took the gourd and nodded solemnly. Alright, this is the river of time and space. I can't stay here for long. I hope you can complete my God's mission. The divine shadow gradually disappeared. The general held the gourd with an excited expression. My God is indeed my God. He really has a way. After the cloud venerate left, the general immediately waved his hand valiantly and spiritedly. Retreat. The 300 purple blood warriors retreated together. The Holy Seed's kin was an incredible holy artifact. In the divine system universe, only my God had the strength and opportunity to possess a treasure of this level before becoming a sky god. The general held the purple gourd in his hand. It was engraved with dense patterns. This gourd was also a treasure. Normally, he wouldn't be able to use a treasure of this level. However, with my God's oracle, he could temporarily use this gourd. The general softly chanted the oracle. In an instant, the gourd shone brightly and a purple light shot out from the mouth of the gourd. Urgently, a gigantic beast appeared in front of them. This gigantic beast wasn't huge. It was only 2 to 3 times bigger than them. However, the moment this gigantic beast appeared, the general felt an intense sense of fear. The gigantic beast seemed to be covered in spikes. Its entire body was in the shape of waves. Its eyes were cold and murderous. Its gaze swept across the purple blood warriors. It didn't seem to be interested in them. The general held the purple gourd in his hand. His heart was beating wildly. However, he knew that this kind of void-swallowing beast had no interest in normal life forms. It was only interested in the space-time power in the river of time. It wouldn't even be interested in eating desolate breed kin of their level. Even if it did, it might spit it out due to its poor appetite. As expected, after the void-swallowing beast glanced at them, it looked at the streams of light around it. In an instant its eyes shone brightly. Go! The general muttered in a low voice. The void-swallowing beast let out a long roar and dived into the endless streams of light. Almost instantly, the general felt an undercurrent. It was constantly rioting from the streams of light around them. The undercurrent gradually gathered and formed a space-time turbulence. Finally, it converged into a space-time storm. The general was extremely shocked. The endless streams of light started to riot under the void-swallowing beast's overturning waves. The space-time turbulence was even more violent than before. It converged into a space-time storm and bombarded the nodes of the river of time. Then, it gradually moved further away. Those gods will probably retreat in such a violent space-time storm. This means that the heavenly realm will definitely suffer from an even more violent space-time storm at the same time. Wang Fengxin felt something. He was overjoyed. A new space-time storm has appeared? Chapter 1731. A space-time storm was more powerful than the space-time turbulence. Like the divine world, in the space-time turbulence, it might only be blown away. Weaker gods would find it difficult to survive. However, existences like god-kings could still survive with the divine world as a barrier. The impact of the turbulence was not strong. The space-time energy was not as pure as in the river of time, so the absorption rate was not high. However, a space-time storm was different. A storm of this level could easily tear the divine world into pieces. Even countless worlds in the universe would be destroyed because of it. In the river of time, a space-time storm was one of the most serious storms. Moreover, the area it covered was far greater than the space-time turbulence. Wang Feng did not expect a space-time storm to appear. However, this was like someone giving him a pillow when he was sleepy. This is a bit of a coincidence. A space-time storm is definitely not created for no reason. Wang Feng reined in his thoughts of cultivation and sensed his surroundings. After a short while, Wang Feng sensed that a unique giant beast was surging and flipping through the sea in this long river of time. What is this thing? Wang Feng did not recognize this giant beast. However, a life form that could cause trouble in the river of time was naturally not a simple giant beast. This is an opportunity, Wang Fengxin said. This giant beast caused a storm in the river of time. The space-time energy would be imbalanced in a large area. It was a good opportunity for him to expand and absorb the space-time energy. Taking advantage of this space-time storm, the area that he could absorb would be larger and larger. The space-time storm is still dangerous. My initial wheel soul can be safe in the storm, but Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue can't. Wang Feng thought for a few seconds and had an idea. Wang Feng, what's going on? At this time, Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue woke up and looked at Wang Feng. A special space-time giant beast is causing trouble in the river of time. It caused a space-time storm that is more serious than the space-time turbulence. Wang Feng explained simply. A space-time storm? Shi Yu looked at the storm caused by the flowing light around her. The space-time energy contained in the flowing light seemed to be tearing everything apart. He was a little shocked in his heart. She had never encountered space-time turbulence, let alone a space-time storm. What idea do you have? Yan Qingju asked directly. My primordial wheel soul isn't affected, but you aren't, said Wang Feng with a slight nod. The spatial storm's tearing force is too strong. There's a way. I can combine my two souls and form an even stronger primordial soul. Through the fusion of yin and yang, I can cultivate with the two of you at the same time. This way I can protect you. But you have two souls as one. How can you cultivate with two yin souls at the same time? If you can't achieve the fusion of yin and yang, then you won't be able to cultivate the origin. Shi Yu asked. The origin of the intersection of yin and yang was a yin soul and a yang soul. Only by reaching a peaceful state could one succeed in cultivation. With Wang Feng's two souls as one, the primordial soul that he condensed into his primordial wheel was naturally more powerful. He was even less afraid of the space-time storm. The only problem was how to cultivate it. Wang Feng thought about it and said, the yin-yang intersection origin is indeed like that, but I have other methods. The yin-yang intersection origin can be cultivated at the same time other than the yin soul and yang soul. As long as he could achieve the fusion of yin and yang, it would be fine. One yang soul and two yin souls are naturally unable to cultivate. However, if one wants to combine yin and yang, one does not only rely on the yang soul and yin soul to cultivate. Shi Yu didn't quite understand. Yan Qingjue understood. Yin and yang intersection. The so-called intersection is the fusion of yin and yang. Other than cultivating the yang soul and yin soul one-on-one. If the two souls have spiritual intercourse, they can also cultivate this origin and strengthen their own souls. Yan Qingjue said, in short, through spiritual intercourse it will be fine. This will be faster than cultivating with just the yang soul and yin soul. Shi Yu went silent. At this moment they were both in the soul state. Spiritual intercourse meant that not only did the two souls have to be completely open, they also had to have their souls fused. This kind of fusion was even more intimate than physical intercourse. The physical intercourse between mortals was a matter of going in and out. However, this kind of spiritual intercourse required the fusion of the soul energy of both parties. It was a fusion of energy. It was like two special types of energy gathering in the same space and fusing. There was no distinction between you and me. There's another method. The two of you can temporarily fuse together and become a stronger Yin soul. You can cultivate with the Yang soul after the fusion of my two souls. This way, you won't be affected by the spacetime storm. Wang Feng said, "This method only requires the fusion of your souls. Which one will you choose?" "The first one." "The second one?" Two different answers appeared. Wang Feng. The first one was Yan Qingjue. The second one was naturally Shi Yu. This. Wang Feng looked at the two heavenly Tao incarnations hesitantly. It was not good to have different opinions. Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue looked at each other. "The first one is better," Yan Qingjue explained. "Our souls will be fused. It will be more troublesome to separate when the time comes. Also, the ultimate cultivation method of the Yin and Yang origin is the fusion of souls that Wang Feng mentioned. Compared to cultivating the Yang soul and Yin soul, it is more direct. The cultivation speed will be faster and the soul energy cultivated will be stronger. This is the great Tao of the universe that coincides with the will of Yin and Yang." There was nothing wrong with what she said. "Wouldn't it be more troublesome to separate our souls when the three of us are fused?" Shi Yu retorted. "This origin already has the cultivation method of the Yin soul and the Yang soul. This means that this cultivation method is correct. Since it is correct, why do we need to use other methods? Moreover, you and I are very familiar with each other. There won't be any problems when our souls fuse. Separating will not be more troublesome than fusing our souls. Why do we have to neglect the essentials?" Wang Feng looked at the two of them awkwardly. One after another, one after another. Neither of them could convince the other. "All right." Wang Feng waved his hand. "Then let's go with the second method. Your souls will fuse while the three of us have different thoughts. It is indeed not suitable for our souls to fuse like this. However, both of you are heavenly Tao incarnations and have the same origin. It will be easier for your souls to fuse." Following Wang Feng's command, Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue stopped talking. They agreed. "And then let's begin." Wang Feng gave the two of them a look. Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue looked at each other. Shi Yu was quite satisfied with Wang Feng's decision. Yan Qingjue was not, but at this time, she could only listen to Wang Feng. The two souls were close to each other with their palms facing each other. They were only a few centimeters apart. Wang Feng felt a little curious and excited. Yan Qingjue was a soul demon. Although her body was perfect, she was much stronger than a human. Shi Yu's soul was in the form of a human and was much smaller than Yan Qingjue. However, it did not look strange. Their palms were facing each other. Their bodies trembled and their soul energies began to fuse. In just a moment, the two souls began to transform into two different streams of light and converged beside Wang Feng. Chapter 1732. Wang Feng widened his eyes slightly. A moment later, a special soul appeared in his line of sight. She was less than 3 meters tall and her soul exuded a pale golden luster. Her face was hazy like a mirage. At first glance, she looked like Shi Yu, but upon closer inspection, she seemed to have turned into Yan Qingjue. Looking again, it was as if neither of them wanted to. It was the appearance of the two after fusion. "Let's begin." Wang Feng nodded slightly to the fused soul. "Humph!" The latter snorted and nodded. Wang Feng felt that it was quite interesting and asked, "Who's in charge now?" "Me." Two different voices overlapped as if two people were speaking at the same time. Seeing this, Wang Feng stopped asking. Obviously, although Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue's souls had fused and the two souls had fused into a stronger soul, neither side seemed to want the other to be in charge. You'd better be more harmonious and start cultivating. Now that you're in the same soul, once the cultivation starts, it'll be troublesome if you're not harmonious and something goes wrong, Wang Feng reminded. The latter nodded again, indicating that she understood. After solving this problem, Wang Feng began to cultivate. It had to be said that this method had indeed solved the problem of the spacetime storm. The fusion of his two souls made the initial wheel soul stronger and could easily protect the other party from any impact of the storm. Moreover, the fusion of the two souls formed a stronger yin and yang soul, so the cultivation speed was naturally faster. Most importantly, with the support of the spacetime storm, the rolling spacetime power in the long river of time was violently stirred, forming a storm that gathered around Wang Feng. The torrential spacetime power was all absorbed by Wang Feng. This speed is too fast. Wang Fengxin was ecstatic. His initial wheel soul was growing at a speed visible to the naked eye. That huge beast was powerful, causing endless spacetime storms, overturning rivers and waves. 1/10 is guaranteed, Wang Fengxin said. He couldn't let go of the giant beast. How could he miss such a good tool? If he had the chance to enter the long river of time and space again in the future, it would be even better. At this moment, the void-swallowing beast stirred wildly in the river of time and space, as though it was demonstrating how terrifying it was. He was like a fish that had entered the sea, swimming freely in the river of spacetime. Everywhere they passed, spacetime storms would blow up. However, the void-swallowing beast quickly realized that something wasn't quite right. It could overturn the seas and rivers in this long river of time because it used the power of time and space as its food. Only by twisting this calm long river of time could it absorb the power of time and space and be full. The spacetime storm that rose from the sea contained a large amount of spacetime power, so it was effortless to devour it. Otherwise, it would not have caused such a huge spacetime storm. It was all for the sake of a full meal. However, not long after the spacetime storm started, it quickly disappeared. It was a void-swallowing beast, but it had disappeared before it even had a chance to eat something warm. It was angry. He began to use all of his power to create an even bigger spacetime storm. But at the same time, the spacetime storm swept up and disappeared at an extremely fast speed. The more furious the void-swallowing beast was, the more majestic and terrifying the spacetime storm it stirred up became. On the other side, the 300 purple blood warriors looked at the spacetime storm one after another, and their souls trembled. To be able to cause such a terrifying storm in the long river of time, only this kind of holy seed's kin, the void-swallowing beast, can do it. A deputy general sighed. This endless space-time storm, who knows how many worlds have been overturned. I'm afraid that fake heavenly god won't be able to return in time. This void-swallowing beast was obtained by our god by chance. Everything was destined to be used here. The general shook his head slightly. The karma of the universe is unavoidable. The general continued, that Douluo divine world will definitely not be able to escape this calamity. That fake heavenly god should be the top peerless genius in this universe. It's a pity that he still can't escape our god's glory. The 300 purple blood warriors were extremely solemn. Look, that void-swallowing beast has already entered its state. A deputy general pointed at the endless storm ahead. They could no longer see anything in front of them that was covered by the spacetime storm. They didn't dare to get close. This level of spacetime storm was too abnormal. Only heavenly gods who had transcended the long river of time could withstand it. Even if they had divine light protecting them, once they entered, they would definitely be torn apart. The spacetime storm was getting more and more violent. This level of spacetime disaster would indicate the collapse and annihilation of countless worlds. One could imagine how destructive this void-swallowing beast was. A holy seed's kin. The general's tone was filled with reverence. It had the ability to easily destroy everything. The general led the warriors and watched quietly. At this moment, the general held the purple gold gourd in his hand and felt a little heroic. Although this was a divine item temporarily bestowed by our God and could only command this void-swallowing beast, no matter what, he was still the one commanding this void-swallowing beast. Just like that, an unknown amount of time passed. General, why does the situation seem a little strange? Look, the space-time storm has become smaller. Suddenly, a deputy general pointed to the front and asked. The general smiled calmly and said, "Don't worry, the void-swallowing beast caused the space-time storm to eat. At this moment it must have eaten its fill. Naturally, the space-time storm will slowly weaken. But at this moment, that fake heavenly god must have already disappeared. The Douluo divine world is also affected by this space-time storm and will definitely be blown into it." The deputy general was enlightened. Since it's full, it's time to take this void-swallowing beast back. The general chanted the divine decree and raised the purple gold gourd, intending to take the void-swallowing beast back. However, there was no movement. The void-swallowing beast seemed to not hear the divine decree, and the purple gold gourd did not react either. The general frowned slightly. Under the divine decree, the void-swallowing beast could not disobey the divine decree. No matter how powerful it was only a kin of the divine decree. "General, what's wrong?" the deputy general asked. "Nothing, maybe the void-swallowing beast is too full. It doesn't want to return to the purple gold gourd for now." The general pondered for a moment and said, "Let me try again." The general tried again. He tried dozens of times. There was no reaction. He felt that something was wrong. Very wrong. What's going on? Is the void-swallowing beast ignoring the divine decree? The general's heart skipped a beat. He was very puzzled, but he did not dare to act rashly. Until the space-time storm gradually disappeared. Finally, the void-swallowing beast's appearance appeared in the stream of light. However, when the general's gaze landed on the void-swallowing beast's body, he was shocked. The void-swallowing beast that had just come out of the purple gold gourd had shrunk countless times. It looked extremely tired, like an old bull that had been plowing the ground for hundreds of years. What's going on? Countless questions popped up in the general's mind. Then, he saw an extremely dazzling light shining in the distance. The river of time churned, but it could not move the figure in the center of the light. In an instant, the river of time stopped moving. Under that light, everything seemed to have returned to normal. "It's that fake heavenly god." The general's heart trembled. He looked at the figure in horror. "He's still here." Chapter 1733. The storm gradually calmed down. Wang Feng's soul woke up from the cultivation state. His eyes seemed to reflect the entire river of time, flashing with streams of light. Not bad. The space-time storm calmed down, and even the space-time turbulence disappeared. The universe's long river of time also calmed down. In a calm state, it was difficult for Wang Feng to pry the long river of time and trigger a riot of space-time power to cultivate. After all, the long river of time was too huge. Wang Feng could easily use the long river of time in the God world and dark demon world to cultivate because the long river of time was too small in comparison. With the support of Heaven Tao, he could naturally do it. However, Wang Feng could not pry the long river of time completely. Even if he could pry a part of it, the speed of cultivation would definitely not be fast. To completely absorb the space-time power of the long river of time, it would take a long time. Unlike this time, there was a special giant beast that was constantly triggering the space-time storm. In a short period of time, a large amount of space-time power was easily absorbed by Wang Feng. The cultivation this time, Other than the soul reaching a higher level in the beginning wheel, the biggest benefit was that the Pangu axe had already condensed the true soul. In any case, I have absorbed at least 1/5 of the spacetime power of the long river of time. The soul power cultivated through the intersection of yin and yang has completed the last remnant soul of the Pangu axe and become the true soul. The true soul contained the complete will of splitting open the sky. However, that was only the true soul. It was not the real Pangu axe. If he wanted to materialize it, it might need an uncountable amount of divine power of faith, just like the Chaos Green Lotus. However, to Wang Feng, the only difference between materialization and true soul was the amount of divine power consumed each time he used it. Actually, there wouldn't be much of a change in power. After materialization, the Pangu axe would be a real existence, which meant that Wang Feng could use it anytime and anywhere. The innate treasure that the Pangu axe had turned into could also be given to others. As for the true soul, every time he used it, he would need to spend a large amount of divine power to condense it. At the same time, the innate treasure that the true soul had turned into was the same, so it could not be given to others. Only he could use it. It was the same for the Chaos Green Lotus. As the existence of the true soul, all the innate treasures that the Chaos Green Lotus had turned into could only be used by him, because they were condensed by his divine power. After materializing, the Chaotic Green Lotus would truly exist and could be given to others to use. Next, I need to combine the three souls. Then, I need to comprehend the will of creation and become a universe-level life form. Then, I can begin to rebuild the ancestral realm. Wang Feng took a deep breath. He looked at Shi Yu and Yan Qingjue beside him. Their souls had already been separated, and their souls were shining brightly. Clearly, he had gained a lot from this cultivation. They were the embodiment of the heavenly Tao. The stronger their souls were, the stronger the laws of the divine world and the dark devil world. This was a good thing for the God world and dark demon world. It was also a good thing for them. However, in comparison, the benefits they obtained were far inferior to Wang Feng's cultivation. Alright, what about that giant beast? Wang Fengxin's heart stirred. This giant beast had contributed greatly to his cultivation, so he could not let it go so easily. Sensing his surroundings, Wang Feng quickly spotted the giant beast. At this moment, the giant beast was lying dispiritedly on the edge of a stream of light. Its eyes were dull and motionless. He looked like he was dead. Wang Feng was stunned. You don't seem to be in a good condition. You seem to have shrunk quite a bit. He walked over and looked at the giant beast. Roar. The void-swallowing beast seemed to have known that Wang Feng was coming over. It opened its mouth and let out a silent roar at Wang Feng. It seemed to be extremely angry, but it did not even speak in an angry tone. Hey. You seem to be very angry, but you can't do anything about it. Wang Feng chuckled. This giant beast definitely didn't come here for no reason. Thinking about it for a moment, he knew that it probably had a great background. If he was not wrong, it must have been caused by the warriors he sensed earlier. As for its intention, it was obvious that it was not here to help him. It was most likely here to cause trouble. Because the space-time storm just now was more powerful and troublesome than the space-time turbulence. The space-time storm could only be caused to disrupt his cultivation. However, he did not expect that it would backfire and benefit him instead. Little thing, I'll give you a chance. Follow me. Wang Feng used his soul consciousness to communicate with the giant beast so that it could understand his meaning. Despicable fake god, Scram. The void-swallowing beast replied angrily. Wang Feng smiled. He knew the giant beast's current state. He could sense it with his senses. It was very hungry. Why was it hungry? Wang Feng also knew. A giant beast that could overturn the river and waves in the river of time must eat space-time energy. Unfortunately, he had absorbed all of the space-time energy just now. It would be strange if it was not hungry. It probably caused the space-time storm to devour the space-time energy. Wang Feng opened his palm and gently pulled. A ray of light hovered in Wang Feng's palm, then began to spin and temper, finally condensing into a faint silver thread. This thread was the tempered space-time energy. In an instant, the void-swallowing beast's eyes burst out with desire. "Do you want to eat it?" Wang Feng asked. The tempered space-time energy was a peerless delicacy to this giant beast. The void-swallowing beast nodded unwillingly. It was very hungry. Wang Feng heard the answer and gently blew on the silver thread. It disappeared. The void-swallowing beast immediately became anxious. But it did not have the slightest strength at this time, so it could only stare at Wang Feng. "Fake God, don't go too far. You just used the space-time storm I caused to devour the space-time energy that should have belonged to me. I can be considered to have helped you, but now you don't even give me a strand of space-time energy. This is too much." The void-swallowing beast was extremely angry. "What a joke!" Wang Feng shook his head. "The guy behind you who sent you, he wants to deal with me, right? In other words, you were used to deal with me, not to help me. But you didn't expect that the space-time storm not only didn't hinder me, but also helped me. I'm already very kind to you by not killing you. Do you think I don't know anything?" The void-swallowing beast immediately stopped talking. That was indeed the case. It did not think that it could deceive this cunning fake god with those words. "You now only have two paths, either die, or become a tool for my future cultivation." Wang Feng sneered. "Of course I won't let you starve. You can grow in the river of time, others might be afraid of you, but I'm not. You can't escape even if you want to," Wang Feng said straightforwardly. After saying that, Wang Feng condensed another strand of space-time energy in his palm. The void-swallowing beast stared at that strand of space-time energy for a long time before shaking its head. "No, I already believe in a god. I've been imprinted with the mark of a god. If I betray him, I will be judged by the rules of the god system universe and will not be able to escape death. Don't you know the rules there?" Chapter 1734. God's Mark? God System Universe? Wang Feng frowned slightly. The space-swallowing beast seemed to have noticed Wang Feng's confusion and said in surprise, "You are a fake god. Could it be that you are not a god from the God System universe?" "That's right. This river of time and space doesn't belong to the God System universe. Could it be that you are a fake god from this universe?" A fake god from a local universe can enter the river of time and space to cultivate. Only a god who has transcended the river of time can do that. Are you a god from this universe? The space-swallowing beast's last sentence was filled with shock. Wang Feng was silent. He could roughly guess who the god behind this space-swallowing beast was. It should be the god from another universe that the black-clothed men in Soul World's main body believed in. God System Universe, Multiverse. "A beast doesn't serve two masters," said the space-swallowing beast. "Kill me." Wang Feng. "What a backbone. Then if I kill the god behind you, will you be ownerless?" asked Wang Feng. The space-swallowing beast. The space-swallowing beast thought for a moment and said, "I am a descendant of a god. Once a god dies, the power we obtain from the god will disappear. Most of it will die with the god. I am special. I won't die with the god." "You are ownerless. That's good." Wang Feng nodded. "I advise you not to act recklessly," reminded the space-swallowing beast. "You are just a god from a unit universe. There are many gods in the God System universe. If you dare to kill a god from the God System universe, it is equivalent to offending the entire God System universe. Unless you start a god war and defeat the other party fair and square." Wang Feng smiled. "There is such a thing as fair and square? Of course. Life forms in the God System universe are born as gods. In terms of power level, they are fake gods. The power level there is extremely high. Only those who have reached the level of gods can barely be considered strong. Wang Feng understood. The sky god mentioned by the giant beast should be a universe-level life form. It was just a different name. But in the god system universe, being born as a god was a bit powerful. You are just a god. If you want to kill the god I believe in now, it is unrealistic. In order to initiate a normal divinity battle, both sides would need to use their own divine domains to fight. The god system in the god system universe is complete, and the god I believe in is a rare genius god in the god system universe. The space-swallowing beast looked at the space-time power and said, "No, although you are a native heavenly god, you are not from the system of the god system universe." Instead, he relied on his own cultivation to become a heavenly god. In the god system universe, they rely on their own god domain and the power of will of their believers to become heavenly god. Wang Feng narrowed his eyes. Actually, he wasn't a universe-level life form yet. This was because he had yet to fully comprehend the will of Split the Heavens. However, according to the space-swallowing beast, could there be other ways to become a universe-level life form? How could he become a heavenly god just by relying on the divine domain and the power of will of his believers? Impossible. If that were the case, then the godly monarchs of the Douluo divine realm wouldn't have been stuck by the rules. This was because most of the gods in the Douluo divine realm relied on the power of faith to manifest their godhood. Divine system universe. This must have been developed to its peak. It seems similar to the Douluo divine world, but it's actually a world of difference. Wang Fengxin said. However, what made Wang Feng feel strange was that he could become a universe-level life form without comprehending the will of the universe. If that was the case, then the system in the God system universe might really be a set. Of course, it could also be that he didn't know much about the universe-level life form and hadn't seen much. Comprehending the will of the universe and becoming a universe-level life form might be the most difficult and troublesome way. No matter what, the words of this giant beast made Wang Feng see something. If what you said is true, Wang Feng pondered for a moment, then I can't do it by force? Wang Feng felt that he might be able to kill the god behind this space-swallowing beast with one strike of his axe. It was true. He gave his own clan tribe a mere dozen million-year soul rings and dared to show off in the Douluo world? This kind of god's true strength was definitely not strong. At most, it was at Little Three's current strength. It was just that the other party was born in the god system universe and had a different system. Compared to the Douluo divine world, it was more high-end, complex, and complete. That was why he looked very powerful. You can try. The space-swallowing beast said indifferently. The reason why the space-swallowing beast said those words was to make Wang Fengxin hesitate and not kill it. In the god system universe, other than the heavenly gods, you can only be considered strong. What about those stronger than that? Wang Feng asked again. Above the heavenly gods are the paramount gods. Above the paramount gods are the primal cosmos gods. After that, there's nothing. The space-swallowing beast added, at least I don't know. The god system that my god imparted to me is only the primal cosmos gods. Wang Feng's eyelids twitched. Wang Feng didn't know about the paramount gods. But this primal cosmos god seemed different. The word primal wasn't simple. One primal was equivalent to 50,000 origin wheels, and ordinary universe-level life forms would undergo one cosmos calamity per origin wheel. The moment they lived past one primal, it was equivalent to surviving 50,000 cosmos calamities. For a universe-level life form to live to this stage, it wasn't a matter of strength anymore. Like the unit universe that Wang Feng was in, the other party could probably destroy it with a flick of his finger. 1 trillion worlds would shatter in an instant. That Emo Tiance hadn't even crossed a single cosmos calamity. They had just obtained the cosmos willpower and stepped into the universe-level life form. The God system universe isn't simple. I can't act recklessly, Wang Fengxin pondered. With his current status, the moment he started fighting, he wouldn't be the only one affected. 1 trillion lives would be involved. Even if most of them weren't related to him, and Wang Feng didn't care, there were still quite a few that were related. The god behind this gigantic beast has dealt with me time and time again. I can't just sit back and do nothing. Wang Feng pondered and had a plan in his heart. He then looked at those warriors on the other side. In an instant, the general leading the 300 purple blood warriors quivered. But being a clan of a god, he naturally couldn't be afraid. The general's expression remained unchanged. He suppressed the throbbing in his heart and stared at Wang Feng. Humph, Wang Feng snorted coldly. In an instant, he arrived in front of these warriors. That gigantic beast was released by you all? Wang Feng looked at these warriors indifferently. The god behind you all wants to deal with me? Just this? The general wanted to speak, but he realized that under the immense pressure, he couldn't even send out a trace of thought. A native false sky god from the desolate universe. No, from the looks of it, he wasn't just a simple false sky god. His aura was one level stronger than my god. This meant that he had become a true sky god. A native sky god from the universe. No matter how native he was still a sky god. Wang Feng's gaze landed on the general's purple gold gourd and seemed to sense something. The aura of this gourd had merged with the space-swallowing beast. Chapter 1735. God System Universe. Yuntian Palace in a God Domain. The figure sitting cross-legged at the top of the palace suddenly saw the light recede. It was an extremely handsome young man who exuded a godlike aura. Not long after, a door of light appeared outside Yuntian Palace. The purple-blooded warrior walked out from the door. Oh? You're back? The young man frowned. Something's not right? Baiyun, did you do as I said? As a god's minion, the young man obviously knew that something was wrong with the purple blood warriors. It was as if they had lost a battle. Among the wild breeds, the purple blood warriors were unafraid of death and had unlimited strength. They would not show any fear in the face of an undefeatable enemy and would never lower their heads. But it was obvious that the 300 purple blood warriors, including the leader, General Wufeng, had lowered his head. Baiyun's spirit venerable appeared at the young man's feet and said respectfully, "My god, everything is as you said. I gave the time purple gourd to Wufeng and asked him to summon the space-swallowing beast to create a space-time storm to deal with the fake god. But I did not sense the purple gourd's aura from him," the young man said coldly. Baiyun's spirit venerable was stunned and took a deep breath. My god's divine domain contained pure origin spiritual energy. Breathing in and out should have been an enjoyable experience. But Baiyun's spirit venerable felt suffocated. At this moment, the 300 purple blood warriors arrived outside Yuntian Palace. The leading general's eyes were lifeless as he looked at the indescribably majestic palace on top of the clouds. He abruptly knelt down. He had failed. Not only had he failed, but he had also lost the treasure that my god had temporarily bestowed upon him, as well as the sacred minion. This sin was enough for him to die 10,000 times under God's punishment. He knelt for a long time. The young man at the top of the palace said calmly, "It seems that not only have you failed your mission, but you have also lost the purple gourd and the space-swallowing beast." The general knelt in the clouds, not daring to raise his head, as if he was a prisoner waiting to be executed on the guillotine. "Get up," the young man said slowly. "It's not your fault." "No." The general's voice suddenly rose and he said emotionally, "My God, punish us. It's our fault that brought such a great loss to our God." The young man remained silent. As a clan that believed in the gods, they would not have any doubts about the gods they believed in. The reverence of the gods was inviolable, and the gods would not make mistakes. The young man waved his hand, and a mighty force pulled the general up. Wu Feng, tell me everything that happened, Qin Wentian said. The young man did not pursue who was right or wrong at this time, but asked calmly. The general wanted to continue kneeling, as if this was the only way to redeem some of his wrongdoings. However, he couldn't bring himself to kneel. When he heard the order, he immediately recounted everything he had seen and heard, as well as what Wang Feng had said. So you are a native heavenly god. You can even cultivate the power of spacetime. Even the spacetime storms are unable to do anything to you. After listening, the young man was speechless for a long time. He looked at the sky of his god domain, and an interesting expression appeared on his face. Native heavenly gods are all promoted from their own universe, and they have powerful combat strength. Their system is usually self-contained, and it doesn't match with our god system universe. However, it is also because of this that native heavenly gods often think that they are invincible in their own universe. It actually wants to start a god war against me. This must be what the space-swallowing beast told him. The young man chuckled. The space-swallowing beast is a special sacred clan. It exists in the river of time, and it is extremely rare. I used a special method to obtain it, so it must be unwilling. On the surface, it believes in me, but in its heart, it only believes in the will of time. It wants to take this opportunity to use this native heavenly god to escape from my control. Instigate a god war? A native heavenly god? The young man's expression was calm, and there was no trace of disdain or seriousness in his eyes. Baiyun's spirit venerable said in a low voice, God Qi, do you need me to call back the other 3 spirit venerables? This is related to the god domain. Call them back. The young man said calmly, after all, he is a heavenly god. Since he dares to start a god war against me, I will let him know the rules of the god system universe. As for the space-swallowing beast, how can it escape from my control? Baiyun, go to the Star of Gods in the center of the God System universe and inform the Dongwang God System that I am in about this matter. A native heavenly god wants to start a god war against a false god of my God System universe. Baiyun's spirit venerable nodded slightly and understood the intention of his god. He wanted to expand the influence of this matter. Under the God System universe, there were many universes. Occasionally, 1 or 2 native heavenly gods would be born in these universes. However, it was very difficult for native heavenly gods to be absorbed by the God System universe. Even before they became heavenly gods, it was very difficult for them to know about the God System universe. Once they knew that the God System universe was an invincible existence in their own universe, they would naturally think that they were invincible in their own universe. They would look down on the God System universe. Moreover, the native heavenly gods became heavenly gods after going through unimaginable hardships. There was only one native heavenly god in the entire universe. They must be extremely arrogant. Many native heavenly gods even dared to directly challenge the God System universe. As a result, the God System universe that originally wanted to absorb these native heavenly gods would naturally not tolerate it. In terms of individual combat power, the native heavenly gods and the God System universe's heavenly gods were not much different. Due to the uniqueness of the native heavenly gods, they might be stronger. However, the God System universe had its own rules. Individual combat power was not the measure of a heavenly god's combat power. The total combat power of a heavenly god could only be measured by the combined power of the God System universe's heavenly god. Naturally, many native heavenly gods relied on their own strength to challenge the God System universe. The results were mostly tragic. The first native heavenly gods who challenged the God System universe were unreasonable. They used their own strength to fight against the heavenly gods of the God System universe. No matter who won or lost, the outcome was extremely tragic. Later, the native heavenly gods who appeared roughly knew about this and stayed away from the god system universe. There were also some who wanted to use the rules of the god system universe to fight against the heavenly gods of the god system universe. However, it was a pity that so far, no native heavenly god had succeeded. There were too many reasons. The Cloud Venerate knew the reason why Wu God did this. He wanted to use this native heavenly god to warn the other native heavenly gods. Not to mention challenging a heavenly god, it was impossible for a native heavenly god to challenge a false god of the god system universe through the god system universe. The Cloud Venerate immediately took action. The Awakening God was the youngest false god of the Donghuang divine system in the god system universe. He had the greatest potential and was highly likely to become a heavenly god at the age of 10,000. He was extremely famous. End of this chapter. Chapter 1736. But Baiyun Spirit Sage, as the closest spirit sage to Qi, naturally knew. In addition to the Donghuang divine system, there were thousands of different divine systems in the divine system universe. In the entire divine system universe, the Donghuang divine system belonged to the bottom and was not well known. Qi Shen wanted to use this opportunity to strengthen the reputation of the Donghuang divine system and his own reputation. After all, a false god defeating a heavenly god and crossing a huge distance was enough to make the entire god system talk about it enthusiastically. It was a shocking event. Even if this heavenly god was a native heavenly god. Wang Feng looked at the purple gold gourd in his hand and pinched his chin. The divine system universe should be very interesting. Wang Feng weighed it and thought for a while. He had a vague feeling. Maybe the disappearance of the primitive world had something to do with this divine system universe. Even the origin tribulation divine king might have something to do with this divine system universe. After thinking about it, Wang Feng left the long river of time. Because he couldn't cultivate in this long river of time for a long time, this space-swallowing beast needed to rest for a while before it could be used again. Otherwise, if it was overworked, this giant beast would not live for long. He couldn't kill the goose that laid the golden eggs. Take it slow. The appearance of the space-time turbulence not only brought an opportunity. It also broke the barrier between the long river of time of the divine world and this long river of time. Although this long river of time of the universe contained countless branches of time, the branches of time symbolized the direction of billions of worlds. The flow of time of these worlds was not equal to the main long river of time. The flow of time between them was different, there was a layer of space-time barrier, and the power of space-time was not the same. Otherwise, the flow of time of those worlds would be exactly the same. Now, the appearance of the space-time turbulence broke this barrier, which meant that the flow of time of the divine world was the same as this main long river of time. There were advantages and disadvantages. The advantage was that Wang Feng could swim to this main long river of time through the long river of time of the divine world and cultivate at any time. The disadvantage was that after the flow of time was matched, the entire universe might be dominated by the Douluo divine world. The Douluo divine world would be the center of this universe. The rules of the Douluo divine world would change. God King would no longer be the limit, and the upper limit would become higher. As for how high it would become, that would depend on the gods of the Douluo divine realm. At the same time, the gods of the Douluo divine realm were no longer immortal in the divine realm. Compared to this universe, their lifespan was at most one origin wheel. Unless he became a universe-level life form and passed his own calamity, it would be hard for him to live past this number. Wang Feng and Shi Yu returned to the God world. He explained the situation to Shi Yu. So the God realm will change greatly in the future? Shi Yu asked. There won't be any major changes. It's just that the flow of time has aligned with the universe, Wang Feng said. Alignment? The Douluo divine realm will slowly become the center of this universe. The rules of the God realm will change a little. As for the specifics, it will depend on your own perception. After all, you are the heavenly Tao of the God realm. The Douluo divine world, the reincarnation sea. Shiyu sensed for a long time before saying, "It seems that nothing has changed." Wang Feng shook his head and said, "You won't be able to sense it in a short period of time. After the flow of time is the same, it will slowly change. At the very least, it will take a few decades, right? How can it be so fast?" Shiyu nodded slightly. A few decades was actually very short in the God realm. Then what are you going to do next? Shiyu looked at him. Are you really going to engage in a God war with the false God from the God system universe? Shiyu had never heard of the God system universe. She had never heard of it from the Origin Tribulation God King. It was very unfamiliar. Yan Qingjue had also never heard of it. Of course, it was possible that the Origin Tribulation God King had never told them. Speaking of which, Wang Feng didn't get the last special essence of the Origin Tribulation God King from the Qianrenshu. He couldn't get the complete inheritance of the Origin Tribulation God King. Perhaps the complete inheritance of the Origin Tribulation God King was related to the God System universe. Wang Feng wanted to know more about the God System universe, but the void-swallowing beast only knew a little about it. Then what else? Wang Feng said, "That false god from the God System universe covets this universe. Previously in the Douluo world, I met a group of his family members who wanted to sacrifice the soul beasts in the extreme north. I can't tolerate this kind of thing. If we don't deal with him, this entire universe, including the God realm and Dark Demon realm, may become his family members." Wang Feng said, "Don't tell me you want to become his family members? Actually, the key is that that guy isn't very strong. The power he gives you is also very limited. It's obviously impossible to touch the world of this universe." Shiyu was silent for a moment. This was the truth. Family members had faith. Just like the God realm had many planes, the gods of the God realm would spread their power in those small planes and let the mortals of the small planes worship them. There was nothing wrong with this. However, a mere false god wanted to subdue them and make them believe in a false god. Wasn't this a joke? Did he really look down on this universe? Then can you beat him? Shiyu couldn't help but ask. In terms of individual combat power, Wang Feng said, "I can kill him with one axe, maybe." Shiyu. So weak? Shiyu was a little surprised. With this kind of strength, you want us to become his family members? We might as well become your family members. Speaking of this, a smile appeared on Shiyu's face. Might as well believe in you. You're the heavenly Tao of a great world, you can say that. Wang Feng shook his head. The God System universe is different if you believe in me. But I can't give you more power now. Where will your faith come from? The essence of the faith cultivation system was, you want me to believe in you, but you have to give me benefits that are useful to me, right? It wasn't something that could be casually said. Just like how mortals made a wish to gods, once the mortals gathered the power of faith, the wish was successful. If the gods could do it, then the mortals would believe in you, and this wisp of life's power of faith would belong to you. If you couldn't do it, why should I believe in you? Then the power of faith naturally wouldn't belong to you. For an existence at Shiyu's level, if you wanted her to believe in you, it wasn't as simple as giving her a bit of power and saving her life. If you can survive the universe calamity, I'll believe in you, Shiyu said half-jokingly. Wang Feng was stunned. He knew that this universe was about to pass the universe calamity. At that time, as the center of the universe, the Douluo divine world would bear the brunt and be destroyed. This kind of universe calamity was produced according to the age of the universe. This universe already had one cycle of age, so it would produce a universe calamity. And the universe life form's initial cycle was calculated according to their age. The power level was not on the same level. Are you serious? Wang Feng couldn't help but ask. Chapter 1737. Shiyu smiled and did not answer Wang Feng directly. However, Wang Feng could tell that this smile was serious. After thinking about it, this smile had a deeper meaning. If I can survive this cosmic calamity, wouldn't it be equivalent to saving the entire universe? Wang Fengxin said, let's not talk about the entire universe. Only the Douluo divine world will be able to survive, right? The cosmic calamity was different from the space-time turbulence. At most, the turbulence would destroy the divine world or blow it to other universes. The foundation of the divine world would still be there. When the cosmic calamity came, everything would return to the beginning, destruction, and rebirth. The corner of Wang Feng's mouth twitched. If she could help him survive the cosmic calamity, he would be the only true God in this universe, let alone the Douluo divine world. Who else could she believe in other than herself? Therefore, Shiyu's words were completely meaningless. I thought that you'd gone down there and be all lovey-dovey, and your brain wasn't working properly. Shiyu looked at Wang Feng with a faint smile. What, you finally reacted? Wang Feng coughed twice. That's a matter for the future. Shiyu said softly, I think you should think about how to defeat the false god of the divine system universe. You know too little about the divine system universe. I have a plan, Wang Feng said. Shiyu glanced at him and said, no matter how good a plan is, it is built on the basis of understanding the other party. Otherwise, your plan will be useless. It's just wishful thinking. Wang Feng thought for a moment and said, but there's no way to understand the divine system universe. Although the void-swallowing beast was captured by him, it obviously didn't know much. Although it believed in the false god, its faith wasn't high. Did you forget something? Shiyu hesitated. Wang Feng looked at Shiyu in confusion. Shiyu was silent. Wang Feng tried hard to recall. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. You mean? Wang Feng looked at Shiyu thoughtfully. Dark Demon World. The Dark Demon World had experienced Mo Tian's descent and the baptism of Wang Feng and Mo Tian's first battle. The various demon realms had suffered varying degrees of damage. Fortunately, the Dark Demon World had recovered a lot. That was the power of magical machine technology. As long as the magical domain still existed, recovery was only a matter of time. The number of soul demons that had died was uncountable. If it were any other world, the sharp decline in the population of soul beasts would probably be a devastating blow. However, the Dark Demon World had a complete heavenly Tao Samsara system. Besides, with the demon cause reproduction technology, the number of soul demons was increasing at an extremely fast rate. Otherwise, the Dark Demon Realm would not have had so many people to conquer the other wormhole worlds. Especially when Yan Qingjue was already in full control of the Well of Reincarnation, the population of the Dark Demon Realm would not be lacking. It would only grow. In the future, the number of demon gods would increase rapidly. This was inevitable. After not coming to the Dark Demon World for a long time, Wang Feng actually felt a little nostalgic for this large world that he didn't have any sense of closeness with. Even those soul demons, who did not conform to the aesthetic standards of human beings, were rarely pleasing to his eyes. Recalling the journey in the Dark Demon Realm as the Dai Demon God, Wang Fengxin sighed with emotion. Wang Feng cultivated 2 other souls in the soul domain with the one Qi transformed into the Trinity. At this time, the 3 souls had become initial wheel souls, and 2 of them had a physical body. One of them was the physical body of his main body, and the other was a physical body condensed from Shiyu's heavenly embryo willpower. However, the last initial wheel soul did not have a physical body. Moreover, it could not use Yan Qingjue's heavenly embryo willpower to cultivate a physical body like Shiyu. Because Yan Qingjue's heavenly embryo willpower was not complete, there were still 2 remnant willpowers with Mo Tian's main body. At this time, Mo Tian's was no threat to Wang Feng, but that guy's main body was not hidden in this universe, and could not be found in a short time. How do you plan to condense a physical body as an initial wheel soul? Dark Demon World, Central Demon Domain, Clear Sky Palace, Heavenly Tao Incarnation, Yenqingju asked. There are many ways to condense a physical body, but it is very difficult to find one that suits your initial wheel soul and has a certain strength. I don't have the heavenly embryo willpower to help you. The genetic technology in the Angel Nebula is also unable to condense a physical body that suits your initial wheel soul. The magical machine technology in the Dark Demon World can't even directly create a Demon Lord level physical body. Yenqingju explained briefly. If the Dark Demon World could create a Demon Lord level physical body, it would have conquered this universe long ago. Wang Feng laughed. If they could create a Demon Lord level physical body, it meant that they could create a batch of fake Demon Lords. Even if these Demon Lord puppets only had physical strength and did not have the power of origin, they would still become the most terrifying army. Actually, it is possible, but it would require countless resources. The price ratio is too low, and it is not suitable for you, Yenqingju said calmly. We have the technology. She seemed to be dissatisfied with Wang Feng's underestimation of the Dark Demon World. Wang Feng waved his hand and said, I plan to condense this physical body using the power of faith. Yenqingju was stunned, as this was out of her expectations. Power of faith. Yenqingju said hesitantly, Are you planning to attack those great worlds on the Saint Spirit ranking? You want to go to those worlds and collect the power of faith? The situation in those great worlds is more complicated, and collecting the power of faith is too troublesome. Wang Feng shook his head slightly. I plan to connect this physical body with the ancestral realm, and use the power of faith to condense it into the ancestral realm's creation god to develop the ancestral realm. In addition to the initial wheel soul. Then what are you planning to do? Yenqingju was puzzled. I will start from small worlds and collect the power of faith. Wang Feng smiled. Furthermore, some small worlds have a very unique power. What power? The power of destiny, Wang Feng said slowly. The power of destiny? Yenqingju thought for a moment, and her voice became even more puzzled. You mean, the will of destiny? How can a small world have the will of destiny? This is impossible. Impossible? Wang Feng smiled. Many worlds have their own fates, and the evolution, development, and change of a world cannot be separated from the power of destiny. Life forms with the power of destiny are especially special. Think about the changes in the Douluo world. Yenqingju pondered for a long time, and suddenly opened her eyes. She seemed to know Wang Feng's plan. You have been to so many worlds, but have you seen the people with the power of destiny in those worlds? Wang Feng said slowly, I want to become a universe life form and develop the ancestral realm. I need to go through countless initial wheel tribulations, and I can't just need a universe will. The origin tribulation godly king's inheritance only gave me a door. The will of creation in Pangu Axe is only the key to this door. After walking through this door, if I want to become stronger, I need to comprehend more universe wills. Chapter 1738. My initial wheel-time soul is connected to the will of destiny. The power of destiny can help my initial wheel-time soul evolve and get closer to the most mysterious and powerful will of destiny in the universe. Yenqingju stared at Wang Feng. She now knew what this guy was thinking. Truly incredible. You've been to many worlds. Wang Feng said slowly. For example, Shrouding Sky World. You even communicated with the great emperor of that world. However, do you know who the will of that world is? Yenqingju frowned slightly. That world was extremely huge. There were countless geniuses. The changes of eras involved countless peerless figures. Not everyone could detect the will of destiny. I know. Wang Feng smiled. Yenqingju was slightly stunned. For example, you know the earth of my previous life. However, how much do you know about the great figures in the Earth's history who have carried the will of destiny? Wang Feng asked again. Yan Qingjue nodded. I know quite a lot. Those great emperors all carried the power of the mandate of heaven. Moreover, in the multiverse they formed different worlds. Because the origin tribulation godking's soul reincarnated and chose Wang Feng, she stayed on Earth for some time and secretly observed Wang Feng. Naturally, she knew the history of Earth. Yan Qingjue had traveled through many worlds and had been to many worlds. In the world where the flowing tear is, you should know who carried the will of destiny, right? Wang Feng asked. Of course I know. It should be Qin Yu. Yan Qingjue thought for a few seconds and said. However, when I met him, he no longer needed it. At that time, he was even stronger than the devil god. That's right. Wang Feng nodded. If these life forms that carry the will of destiny can produce the power of faith, then I can also share the will of destiny. Under the effect of the initial wheel-time soul, they can become even stronger. What I need to do is to find those life forms that carry the will of destiny in the river of time and obtain their faith, as well as the faith of their world. Yan Qingjue understood. Next, I will search in the river of time and give the information to you. Wang Feng smiled. Then, I will use the time soul of the initial wheel as the foundation and the magical machine technology of Dark Demon World to coordinate these small world lifeforms that bear the power of destiny. Didn't you build a Crimson Tomb city here? This time, I will use a different method and gather the souls of these life forms. Share them in the spiritual network. Yan Qingjue felt that this method was very unique, but also vaguely familiar. What's the name? Let's call it the Myriad Worlds Chat Group. Yan Qingjue. She finally understood what Wang Feng was thinking. Good. I'll do it immediately. Yan Qingjue glanced at Wang Feng. That's a good idea. Wait. Wang Feng stopped her. There's one more thing. What? Wang Feng briefly told him about the Divine Systems universe. God System Universe. Yan Qingjue was slightly startled. If Shiyu doesn't know, how could I know? Wang Fengxin said. Otherwise, Wang Feng would have used the Pangu axe to hack at the deity domain of the false god, who caused trouble for him in the river of time. You don't know, but there is one person who might know. Wang Feng coughed. Yan Qingjue was stunned for a second before saying, You mean the Crimson Divine Sky Fox's universe-level life form? That's right. Wang Feng snapped his fingers. Up until now, the universe-level life form that Wang Feng knew, other than the Origin Calamity Deity King who had disappeared. There was only Mo Tiance, the universe-level life form of the Crimson Divine Sky Fox race. He was the one who took Hu Laiina away. He was the supreme being who gave him a god-forbidden space in Dark Devil World's Azure Sun Devil region and wiped away part of his memory. As a universe-level life form, it was impossible for him not to know about the deity domain. You want to know more about the deity domain from her? Yan Qingjue asked. But I can't contact her. Even though I traded the yin-yang intersection origin with her, she took the initiative to trade with me. I can't find her. Unless, Soul Domain's Crimson Fox Undying. Yan Qingjue glanced at Wang Feng. That Crimson Fox Undying should be able to contact that universe-level life form, but she won't want to see me, right? Wang Feng continued. Yan Qingjue nodded. You are quite self-aware. The Crimson Fox deity race believes in pure love. They hate people like you, who are tainted with countless strands of love. Wang Feng's expression darkened. What do you mean by countless threads of love? Yan Qingjue smiled without saying anything. Let's go. Follow me to the Soul Domain to meet that Crimson Fox Undying. See if she's willing to send you a message. Yan Qingjue said. Wang Feng snorted. Soul Domain. Soul-washing ocean on a certain island. Ever since Yan Qingjue took control of the reincarnation well, the reincarnation cycle of the soul domain went on a normal path. It didn't squeeze so many souls anymore, be it soul demons or other life forms. Actually, the reason why the soul domain absorbed the souls of other worlds was because the reincarnation well wasn't under Yan Qingjue's control. Hence, the souls couldn't reincarnate in an orderly manner. The soul energy in the soul domain was extremely unbalanced and could collapse. If the soul demon's resentment couldn't be vented, the soul domain might collapse in the end, causing the dark demon realm to collapse. Yan Qingjue collected the souls of various life forms from other worlds and put them into the soul domain. Then, they formed an opposition with the souls of the soul demons. In this way, the souls of the soul demons could be colored. Relatively speaking, the method was very cruel. This was the embodiment of the heavenly Tao. Now that the soul domain was orderly, the number of battles naturally decreased. It was peaceful. After the great battle in the soul domain, the Crimson Fox Undying had moved from the area outside the Nether River to the soul-washing ocean. But now, it wasn't like before, when the souls of many beasts from many worlds surrounded the island and asked the Crimson Fox Undying to help them calculate the past and recall the past. The island was very quiet. It was still under a huge tree. The Crimson Fox Undying sat cross-legged, quietly looking at the soul-washing ocean. Threads of light wrapped around his body. "You're here." He suddenly looked at a certain place. Space trembled slightly. Wang Feng and Yan Qingjue appeared here. Hearing this as soon as he appeared, Wang Feng was stunned. "You knew I was coming?" The Crimson Fox Undying was mysterious. He was now beyond the river of time. How could it know that he would come at any time? The Crimson Fox Undying smiled. "It's not that I know, but the master of my race told me that you would come back to find me. You're now beyond the river of time. With my strength, it's naturally impossible for me to calculate your whereabouts." Hearing this, Wang Feng immediately understood. End of chapter. Chapter 1739. "Seems like he was waiting for me?" Wang Fengxin said. "He knows about my situation here?" Wang Feng probed. Scarlet Fox Supreme Being smiled faintly. His fox face had a hint of profoundness. "My master has been observing you." Scarlet Fox Supreme Being said softly, "Have you forgotten that a strand of your hair is closely related to my clan?" Wang Feng coughed twice. It was fine if he didn't mention it. Wang Feng almost forgot about Hu Laina. Speaking of which, Wang Feng felt a little ashamed. Can he show himself? "I have something to look for him," Wang Feng said. Scarlet Fox Supreme Being smiled but didn't say anything. There was no answer. Wang Feng frowned slightly and glanced at Yan Qingjue. Yan Qingjue also shook her head, indicating that she didn't know. "He doesn't want to see me?" Wang Feng asked again. Scarlet Fox Supreme Being smiled but didn't say anything. Wang Feng was silent for a moment before he said, "It can't be that I have to sever the other strands of my feelings for him before he is willing to see me, right?" Scarlet Fox Supreme Being smiled and nodded slightly. "Then forget it." Wang Feng sighed. "So, are you planning to give up on her?" Scarlet Fox Supreme Being wasn't in a hurry and asked leisurely. The her mentioned by Scarlet Fox Supreme Being was Hu Laina. "Of course not." Wang Feng shook his head. "When I am strong enough, I will snatch her from your master." Scarlet Fox Supreme Being laughed loudly. "My clan's Scarlet Divine Fox Monarch actually thinks highly of you." Scarlet Fox Supreme Being said slowly, "When you were attacked by Mo Tiance, she appeared. When you were in the Dark Devil domain, she also gave you the Scarlet Divine Fox clan's treasures. She even gave you part of the faith of our deceased clan's spirits to aid your cultivation." Wang Feng nodded and said, "That's right. I am indebted to your Scarlet Divine Fox Monarch." Wang Feng wouldn't forget. Actually, whether it was the Scarlet Divine Fox Monarch's help in the Dark Devil domain or the Scarlet Fox Supreme Being in the Soul domain, They were both considered great favors. The Scarlet Divine Fox Monarch's help was also a favor, even if it was for Hu Lai's sake. Wang Feng had always kept it in his heart. Wang Feng was confused. When did she appear when he was attacked by Mo Tiance? The Fox Empress was a step too late. By the time she arrived, you had already self-destructed. His physical body disappeared and his soul entered the spirit domain. Scarlet Fox Supremacy seemed to have noticed Wang Feng's confusion and explained, after that, you didn't know that the Fox Monarch had attacked Mo Tiance's main body. Mo Tiance was fearful, so he didn't forcefully break open the soul domain and enter it to deal with you. Of course, you don't know about this. Wang Feng frowned slightly. If that was the case, the reason why Mo Tiance didn't come to the Soul Society wasn't just because he thought of it himself, but also because his real body was attacked. Hence, he didn't dare to enter the Soul Society? However, just as the Crimson Fox Supremacy had said, he didn't know any of that. It's true, Yan Qingjue said, when the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor made a deal with me and told me about the yin-yang fusion origin, he mentioned this. Wang Feng looked at Yan Qingjue suspiciously. I understand. Wang Feng looked at Supremacy Crimson Fox. What does she want from me? Since the Crimson Fox Supremacy had said so, it was obvious that the Crimson Divine Sky Fox clan wanted him to do something. Very simple. Crimson Fox Supremacy smiled and said, complete the yin-yang universe willpower of my clan. Wang Feng gasped. F***CKU, I haven't even become a universe-level life form, and you want me to complete the universe willpower? The universe willpower was very complicated. It was a higher-level power that was formed by the fusion of many origin energies. Most of them had a main origin core and many other origin cores. Only by gathering all these origins, fusing and comprehending them, could one come into contact with the universe willpower. This was the reason why Wang Feng's primordial origin was extremely slow in deducing the universe willpower. Even the incomplete astral river willpower that Mo Tiance had dropped required a long time to deduce. The yin-yang willpower of the Crimson Divine Sky Fox clan was even more complicated and massive. It was also harder to deduce. With his current strength, it was hard for him to complete it. I can't do it in such a short period of time, Wang Feng said. You don't have to do it immediately, Crimson Fox Supremacy said, but you need to agree. As long as you agree, the Fox Emperor will naturally meet you to clear your doubts. Wang Fengxin broke out in cold sweat. The yin-yang willpower was very unique. Wang Feng's instinct told him that this might be a trap. However, this Crimson Divine Fox Emperor was very important. If he couldn't even meet him, he wouldn't know anything about Hu Laina. Not to mention other information about the God System's universe. Just agree. Yan Qingjue transmitted her voice. This is nothing. I've been traveling the universe. As a universe-level life form, this Crimson Divine Fox Emperor is the only one you can come into contact with. With that little lover of yours, you can't get rid of this layer. Wang Feng pondered for a moment. He naturally understood what Yan Qingjue said. After thinking for a long time, Wang Feng nodded and said, all right, I agree. So be it. It wasn't like he hadn't done this before. Crimson Fox Supremacy smiled and nodded. He then moved forward and half knelt on the ground and said, Fox Emperor, he has agreed. The moment he said that, a light flickered in midair. Wang Feng's body shook. He felt a mighty figure that seemed to have awakened from the depths of the universe. It traveled through billions of light years and appeared in midair. It was an imposing figure that couldn't be described with words. There was only a silhouette with red ribbons circling around like willow clouds, forming a unique aura. Even such a blurry figure gave Wang Feng a strong urge to worship him. This feeling only lasted for a moment, but it still shocked Wang Feng. This was a true universe-level life form? It was a different feeling from Mo Tiance. Emotiant's Star River willpower wasn't as strong as this blurry figure. This Crimson Divine Fox Emperor should have passed the initial wheel calamity. However, I wonder how many times he has gone through it. Wang Fengxian thought to himself. The yin-yang willpower, even if incomplete, was stronger than Emotiant's Star River willpower. However, Wang Feng was no longer the same as before. He remained unmoved in the face of such power. He was only one step away from becoming a universe-level life form. He was still lacking the accumulation of time to combine his three souls and comprehend the splitting heaven willpower. Moreover, his initial wheel soul was already close to the level of a universe-level life form due to his cultivation in the cosmic time river. Naturally, he wouldn't be intimidated by such power. At the same time, Wang Feng felt a sense of familiarity with this figure. Back in Qingyang Demon Region's Qiqiu district, the silhouette of this voice was very similar to that figure. It was the same person. Humph! A cold snort could be heard from the blurry voice. Wang Feng, you are very bold. Back then, I didn't just bestow you with treasures. I even gave you quite a bit of my race's power of faith. I only erased your memories. However, you secretly cultivated this soul-splitting divine ability and easily recovered your memories. Chapter 1740. Hearing this, Wang Feng didn't feel ashamed at all. Fox Emperor, first of all, you didn't ask for my permission before erasing my memory. Secondly, I've cultivated this soul-splitting divine ability a long time ago. When I first met you, it was just a clone of mine. Erasing the memory of that avatar didn't affect my main body. My main body's memory is still there. What does this have to do with my avatar? He said it with confidence. You! Crimson Divine Fox Emperor glared at Wang Feng coldly. This matter had always bothered her. When she first heard Crimson Divine Fox Emperor mention it, she was especially angry. Now that she thought about it, she was a universe-level life form, but she was actually tricked by Wang Feng. How could she not be angry? Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's eyelids twitched. He was probably the only one who dared to talk to the Fox Emperor like this in this universe. If it was someone else, even if it was Yan Qingjue, with the Fox Emperor's personality, she would have scattered her ashes without a second thought. With the prestige of universe-level life forms, not to mention the heavenly Tao of a large world, even a unit universe could be destroyed if provoked. Crimson Divine Fox Emperor didn't speak. After a long silence, she calmed down and said in an indifferent tone, "You're not afraid of anyone. You're not afraid of anyone. I'll spare you for Nana's sake. But the godly system won't let go of anyone who offends them. You're just a native sky god. You don't know your place. How dare you start a war with the gods of the godly system? Wang Feng, I can already see your end." Hearing this, Wang Feng's eyelids twitched. Sure enough, this big shot knew about the godly system. Not only did she know, but she probably knew a lot about it. They provoked me, Wang Feng explained. I didn't provoke them. A false god of the godly system coveted this universe and wanted to develop believers here. He even wanted to deal with me in the river of time. If it weren't for my luck, your saintess might have been widowed. Get lost. Crimson Divine Fox Emperor said coldly. I won't give Nana to you. Don't daydream. Don't change the topic. Do you know about the godly system universe? Do you know what a battle of gods entails? Do you know what a battle of gods entails? Do you think this is a simple fight? Wang Feng coughed twice and said, I don't know, but I didn't come to ask you. Besides, wasn't the battle of gods just a fight? Furthermore, you know about this matter so quickly. Are you very familiar with the god system universe? The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor sighed and remained silent. Wang Feng listened quietly. Logically speaking, the news spread too quickly. The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor was most likely a god from the god system universe. I'm not a god of the divine system universe. Crimson God Celestial Fox opened his mouth once more. To a certain extent, I'm like you, a native heavenly god in the God System universe. The universe I am in belongs to the God System universe. As for how I found out about this so quickly, it's very simple. That's because the fake god you're challenging has spread the news. An indigenous heavenly god challenged a false god of the Donghuang divine system. This news was enough to shock the godly system universe. Your identity and information as a native Empyrean god have already appeared in the divine domains of the supreme gods of the various divine systems in the divine system universe. You might not know this, but over at the God System universe, countless gods are discussing this matter. A powerful native Empyrean god wants to use the laws of the God System universe to defeat a false god of the God System universe. The battle of gods, the clash of civilizations. I'm very curious. Wang Feng, if you forcefully killed that false god of the God System universe, I wouldn't be surprised. However, you, a native Empyrean god, want to use the battle of gods of the God System universe to defeat a false god. The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor paused for a moment. That's impossible. Wang Feng tilted his head and looked at the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor. He laughed dryly. I didn't expect you to have such an image of me. I'm not that kind of reckless person, am I? Wang Feng felt that his actions were all planned. How could he be reckless? Even if he used the Pangu axe, he had calculated the consequences. Do you know what a battle of gods is? The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor asked. A battle of gods is very complicated. Its full name is Battle of Civilizations of Gods. The winner will obtain everything from the loser. From the source of God power to the life of faith and even the soul. This is a cruel battle of the God System universe. The outcome is extremely tragic. Simply put, if you lose, you will lose everything. In fact, everything you have will disappear. It will be the same as if it never existed. The God System universe will erase all traces of you in the river of time. If you directly killed that false god, at most, you will be chased to death by the law enforcers of the God System universe. They will confiscate your source of will and reduce your evil life dimension. You will still have a chance to start from scratch. However, losing a battle of gods is unreasonable. But won't it be fine as long as I win the battle of gods? Wang Feng asked. The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's head turned hot. He had the urge to slap Wang Feng. Everything he said earlier was in vain. Do you know what a battle of gods requires? The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor asked coldly. A battle of gods is not just a battle of gods. It involves the God domain, the civilizations within the God domain, the billions of family races, the faith of the worlds under it, etc. It is a battle of civilizations. That false god's individual strength might not be as strong as yours. However, his God domain has been developing for tens of thousands of years. There are trillions of faith gathered within the God domain. Even if you kill for 10,000 years, you won't be able to kill all the family races. For him to easily defeat you, a cosmos lifeform who hasn't even undergone the first origin wheel calamity. Someone like Emotiance is nothing in front of such a false god. You don't even have a god domain. At most, you only have the faith of a single soul world. Yet you rely on your strength and treasures to start a battle of God. Do you think you are challenging a false god? The Crimson Divine Fox mercilessly attacked. You are challenging the system of the God System universe. Fool! The Crimson Divine Fox spoke in more detail than the devouring space beast. She might even know more. Wang Feng frowned slightly. That was indeed the case. He was challenging the system of the God System universe. The God System universe has been developing for tens of thousands of years. The Crimson Divine Fox's tone became more relaxed. You didn't directly eliminate that false god. I believe you must know that there is an existence like the primal cosmos god in the God System universe. Thus, you don't dare to do so. I can understand, but rather than starting a battle of gods against a false god, you might as well directly eliminate that false god. The primal cosmos god has lived for an unknown number of years. Think about it. After such a long history, the system of the God system universe has been perfected to perfection. You have never come into contact with it. It is impossible for you to win a battle of God. The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor spoke. Perhaps it was because he felt tired mentally, so he became silent. Wang Feng remained silent for a while. After thinking for a while, he forced himself to say softly, "This, I feel that there is still a chance, Crimson Divine Fox Emperor." Chapter 1741. Wang Feng wasn't joking. He really felt that he had a chance. "What chance do you have?" Crimson Deity Sky Fox glanced at him and said slowly, "I only have one suggestion for you. Take your people and leave this universe. Your potential is not bad. Becoming a universe life form is a given. Leave this universe and slowly become stronger. You have to be quick. Someone from the God System universe will come knocking on your door soon." "Leave?" Wang Feng smiled and didn't reply. He suddenly recalled the past. Back then, when he met a strong enemy, he would try his best to avoid them and rely on the system to slowly grow stronger. Now that he had reached his level, he didn't have the system. He was already standing at an extremely high position. How could he still make such a choice in such a situation? Back then, his vision was limited. When facing a strong enemy, he could only think of simple and direct methods. But now, he had grown up. His vision was far from what it used to be. "Why don't we make a bet?" Wang Feng said, "Senior Fox Emperor, if I can win this deity battle, you can't sever my relationship with Hu Laina. It doesn't matter how many partners I have. If I lose, I have no choice. By then, my relationship with Nana will naturally be severed." This bet was actually very beneficial to Wang Feng. But in reality, it wasn't harmful to Crimson Deity Sky Fox. Crimson Deity Sky Fox frowned slightly. If this guy could defeat that fake god through the deity battle, it would mean that their God System Universe's system would be greatly impacted. It would also mean that this guy's potential and strength had reached an unimaginable level. At that level, the rules of the Crimson Deity Sky Fox race would be meaningless to him. If he lost, naturally, he would be gone. Even if Nana couldn't let it go, she would have to forget about it. Rather than a bet, it was more like something that was bound to happen. It was just that it wanted to give him a way out. After all, it had said so much. It couldn't be treated as nonsense. "If you don't listen to my advice, then I can only watch from the side." Crimson Deity Fox Emperor said indifferently, "Take care of yourself." Then, Crimson Deity Fox Emperor pointed at Wang Feng's forehead. A lot of information about the God System universe flowed into Wang Feng's brain. "For Nana's sake, I can only tell you this much. Other than that, I will not help you." After saying that, the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor disappeared. Only a faint lingering sound could be heard. "I'm ashamed. I've already helped enough," Wang Fengxin said. The Crimson Divine Fox Emperor was also a native heavenly deity, but she was clearly different from him. If the Red God Fox Emperor really helped him secretly, once the God System universe found out, the universe where the Red God Fox Emperor was in would be in trouble. Naturally, she would not take such a huge risk. It was already good enough to tell him some detailed information about the Divine System universe. "I wonder how Hu Laina is doing at the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor's place." Wang Feng could not help but think. He knew that if it wasn't for Hu Laina, the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor might not even have agreed to meet him. Back then in the Red Hills, it was even more impossible for him to help him. "It's time to leave," Wang Feng whispered to Yan Qingjue. Yan Qingjue nodded slightly. After bidding farewell to the Crimson Fox Honorable, she returned to the Clear Sky Palace in the Dark Demon Realm. I'm going to make a trip with Xiao Shui to her universe. It won't be too long. During this time, I hope you can set up a myriad world chat group and pull in the children of destiny from some worlds, Wang Feng instructed. When I come back, add me into the group, and the plan can be carried out. Yan Qingjue pondered for a moment and said, what if someone from the Divine System universe comes? The Divine System universe is different from here. Wang Feng's eyes flickered. In the information given by the Fox Emperor, the Divine System universe is divided into countless divine systems. There is the Dongwang Divine System, the Divine Court Divine System, the Western Fantasy Divine System, and so on. Countless divine systems have gathered to form the Divine System universe. My opponent is just a genius false god from the Dongwang Divine System. The Dongwang Divine System does not have a high status in the Divine System universe. That false god wants to use this opportunity to increase the influence of the Dongwang Divine System in the Divine System universe. Therefore, he must create momentum and let the entire Divine System universe know about this. Wang Feng sneered. And in order to be foolproof, he must have made sufficient preparations. This information was given by the Crimson Divine Fox Emperor. It could be considered a simple understanding of the enemy. He may send a letter of challenge very soon. Wang Feng said faintly, but it won't be very soon before the divine war begins. As soon as he finished speaking, Wang Feng's soul sensed Shi Yu's transmission. Wang Feng, a god from the Divine System universe has come. Wang Feng smiled slightly and said, look, the letter of challenge is here. Divine world. Tang San looked at the sky solemnly. There were many things waiting to be done in the divine world. After Mo Tian's death, the divine world was thriving. Moreover, he could vaguely feel that the barrier he encountered seemed to be able to break through. The death of Mo Tian's clone could be said to have injected a brand new and powerful force into the divine world. In addition, Shi Yu, the heavenly path, had followed Wang Feng to cultivate in the river of time, and her soul had become stronger. As the incarnation of the heavenly path, Shi Yu had become stronger, and the laws and order of the divine world had become more perfect. Tang San could naturally touch a higher level of power. However, there was still a long way to go before he could reach the level of a universal life form. However, the situation seemed to be developing in a good direction. But, third brother, that Mo Tian's has just disappeared. Why did the sky of our divine world split open again? What kind of demon is coming this time? Xiao Wu stood beside Tang San and looked into the distance helplessly. A crack had been torn open in the sky of the divine world. Two silhouettes appeared outside the crack and stepped in. In an instant, the entire divine world trembled. Tang San's face darkened. Just the aura of these two figures made him feel that they were not inferior to Mo Tian's clone. They might even be stronger. The two figures seemed to be human. But in fact, upon closer inspection, there was a faint shadow floating on their bodies, like the manifestation of some kind of starry sky beast. Sensing it slightly, Tang San's back was drenched in cold sweat. He even had a premonition that it would not be difficult for these two mysterious visitors to destroy the divine world. Most importantly, they did not cast their gaze below the divine world. Instead, they were looking at the sky. Third brother, the gods of our divine world are not that weak. Xiao Wu saw the shock in Tang San's eyes and immediately waved her fist and said. Tang San came back to his senses and nodded with a smile. The shock in his eyes gradually disappeared and was replaced by confidence and calmness. Chapter 1742. Humph! At this moment, the two figures suddenly snorted coldly at the same time. In an instant, countless cracks appeared in the sky of the god realm, as if it would shatter at any moment. Then, the two figures slowly separated, and a scroll fell from between them. The scroll was covered with countless densely packed runes. It was like some kind of encrypted law that transcended time and space and floated in the sky. Almost instantly, Tang San and Xiao Wu were shocked. The two of them froze on the spot like Sun Wukong, who was pressed into the five-finger mountain by Gautama Buddha. An invisible force bound the entire god realm. All the creatures in the god realm, including them, couldn't fight for it. This was not time stop, but a powerful pressure. It was unknown what was carved on the scroll, but it was actually emitting an incomparable pressure. The god realm was stunned. It seemed to have stopped working. But Tang San and Xiao Wu's consciousness was still there. "How dare you!" The sky cracked, and a pair of eyes with peerless divine power appeared. A cold and emotionless voice secretly came. "How dare you make trouble in the God Realm?" "It's the God Realm's heavenly Tao, the Genesis divinity source," Tang San whispered. "Brother Feng told us that he has a close relationship with the God Realm's heavenly Tao. Is this related to Brother Feng?" As the God Realm's heavenly Tao, the Genesis divinity source usually didn't interfere with the operation of the God Realm. It rarely appeared. Tang San had been in the God Realm for a long time and he basically heard about it. The last time he saw Wang Feng enter the Star Soul Road to see the Genesis divinity source in the God Burial Blood Tomb in the Void Domain. "Hey, it looks like it's Brother Feng's enemy." Xiao Wu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Brother Feng's enemies are endless. By the way, not long ago, you sensed that the God Realm would encounter a great disaster. Why didn't you appear? Does it have something to do with this? Not long ago, as the ruler of the God Realm, Tang San naturally sensed that the God Realm would encounter a great disaster. Tang San's consciousness suddenly froze. Maybe it's true. I can sense that the God Realm is about to face a calamity. The Genesis divinity source had a premonition that Big Brother Feng had a close relationship with it. In that case, it was highly likely that Big Brother Feng had acted to avert the calamity of the divine realm? Did you provoke a new enemy? Tang San and Xiao Wu deserved to be Wang Feng's companions who had a legendary experience. He had basically guessed the sequence of events. Wang Feng didn't tell them. Heavenly Tao of the God Realm, this is the Deity Battle Holy Scroll. Since you heavenly cosmos gods wish to challenge the false gods of my cosmos laws, you should be prepared. At this time, the two figures spoke at the same time. Their voices were indistinguishable. It was as if only one of them was speaking, sending out a consciousness that could spread throughout the entire divine world. The sacred scroll of the deity's war is a letter of challenge written by the three supreme gods of the Donghuang divine system. I'll place the holy scroll here and wait for that native heavenly deity to sign it. If you want to go back on your word and not sign it, this holy scroll will suppress this world, and you will never be able to rise again. As a warning, I am a subordinate of the heavenly law enforcement god of the divine system universe. God Punishment Spirit Venerable. I'm here to deliver the sacred scroll of the deity's war. A torrent of consciousness like the Milky Way was transmitted to the entire divine world. She used two eyes exuded an icy chill. Sacred scroll of the deity's war, letter of challenge. Three supreme gods. Heavenly deities were universe-level life forms at the very least. Supreme gods were naturally stronger than universe-level life forms. None of this was mentioned. Just a letter of challenge alone could suppress the divine world and make it impossible to rise again. It was enough to see that the divine system universe had their eyes on Wang Feng. Wang Feng didn't even have the slightest chance to refuse. Once Wang Feng refused, the divine world would definitely be overturned. At this moment, even Shi Yu, the heavenly Tao of the divine world, couldn't resist a mere letter of challenge, undoing the current state of the divine world. She could only wait for Wang Feng to come and sign it. That letter of challenge was like the 6 runes mantra on the 5-finger mountain. Only Wang Feng could solve it. Shi Yu was silent. The divine system universe was aggressive. Wang Feng said it lightly. Now it seemed that the false god he wanted to challenge would not be so easy. At this moment, a calm voice sounded from the sky. You want to suppress the divine world with a mere letter of challenge? Laughable. At the same time, an ancient yellow giant bell rang in the sky. Dong. The ancient sound seemed to symbolize the recovery of the universe. Boundless power spread across the entire divine world like a wave of stars. In an instant, the divine world that had been suppressed and turned gray was instantly dyed with color and restored to its original calm. A wisp of the divine war holy scroll in the sky made a slight sound. Boundless light seemed to escape from all directions and was absorbed into the scroll. The scroll fell, as if it had lost its spirituality, until it fell into a palm. Unknowingly, the owner of the palm had already appeared under the sky, standing not far away from the two divine punishment spiritual venerables. The two divine punishment spiritual venerables were stunned at first, then looked at the giant bell in the distance and the owner of the mysterious voice in horror. An indigenous heavenly god. It was that indigenous heavenly god. What an indigenous heavenly god! The two divine punishment spiritual venerables spoke at the same time, with undisguised shock in their voices. This scroll was written by three supreme gods at the same time, and it contained a bit of divine will deliberately left behind by the supreme gods. Fake gods would retreat when they saw it and couldn't look at it directly. Even a newly promoted heavenly god would have to use all his strength to resist the divine will on it to ensure that he wouldn't be intimidated by it. Using it to suppress such a big world, saying that it would never be able to rise again was an understatement. They didn't expect that a mere indigenous heavenly god could easily break the probabilistic divine will on this holy scroll without signing the letter of challenge. Are you going back on your word? The two divine punishment spiritual venerables said coldly again. Back on my word? Wang Feng sneered. What a joke. You want to use a mere letter of challenge to restrain me? It's simply a childish method. Your divine system universe is high and mighty, but the methods you use are nothing. I'm the one who issued the letter of challenge. Why would I go back on my word? Wang Feng spread out the scroll directly. There were densely packed divine runes on it. The divine runes directly appeared, turned into a consciousness, and entered Wang Feng's mind. Even if he couldn't recognize these divine runes, they were written by a god. The divine system universe didn't use divine runes as the ancient carrier of information. Only under certain special circumstances would they write divine runes. Moreover, these divine runes had a unique consciousness that could allow lifeforms that didn't understand divine runes to understand them easily. The contents of the letter of challenge were the rules of the battle of gods. It wasn't much different from what the crimson deity Celestial Fox had said. Wang Feng's fingertip lightly touched the scroll, and his divine power engraved two words. I just want to tell you about the divine system universe. Wang Feng threw the scroll to one of the divine punishment spiritual venerables and said lightly, when the time comes, don't go back on your word. Keep this letter of challenge well. Chapter 1743. The two divine punishment spiritual venerables hurriedly took the scroll and looked at it carefully. After confirming that there was no mistake, they took a deep look at Wang Feng and disappeared into the sky of the divine world. Everything returned to normal. They left just like that? Shiyu asked telepathically. Of course. Wang Feng sneered and replied. They probably didn't expect me to sign it so decisively and so quickly. These two divine punishment spiritual venerables are probably planning to show their power in the divine world for a long time. Shiyu was silent for a while and asked, What is written in the scroll? Some rules and preparation time. When does it start? Shiyu asked again. Wang Feng glanced at the divine world leisurely. When the last divine star of the Donghuang divine system is lit up with the divine fire. Shiyu heard this and didn't understand at all. What do you mean? Shiyu vaguely felt that there seemed to be some inside story. Simply put, it is 100 days later in the Divine System universe. Wang Feng said lightly, the Donghuang Divine System is a branch of the Divine System universe, and that fake god belongs to it. The Divine Star is a special astral realm of the Donghuang Divine System. Every time a fake god successfully lights up the divine fire in the Divine Star, it means that the divine territory of this fake god has condensed a powerful divine body of faith and is half a step into the realm of Empyrean God. The Donghuang Divine System will officially rank this fake god in their divine system. He will be selected as the Empyrean God of the entire Divine System universe. And 100 days later, the fake god who agreed to a divine battle with me will light up the divine fire in the Divine Star. And according to the time calculation, the Divine Star of the Donghuang Divine System will close after 100 days. So, the fake god will light up the divine fire in the Divine Star at the latest 100 days later. Shiyu understood. So the divine battle will only start when the fake god is about to break through. The key is that the fake god is only half a step into the realm of Empyrean God when he lights up the divine fire. He was still not a heavenly deity. He was still a false deity. So the gimmick is still a divine battle between a fake god and a native Empyrean god, Wang Feng added. That's a little shameless. Shiyu frowned slightly. How can the time of the divine battle you initiated be completely controlled by them? This is not shameless. Wang Feng shook his head. The divine battle is the rule of the Divine System universe. Do you think a native heavenly deity can negotiate with them? If there was, there wouldn't have been a war between the gods. Those two spirit venerables of divine punishment brought this holy scroll of challenge here. They used the divine world as a threat to make you sign this unfair challenge. Shiyu sighed. No wonder they looked at you strangely when they left. They probably didn't expect you to sign them so readily. Unfair? Wang Feng smiled. I think it's quite fair. That fake god needed time to light up the divine fire and fan the flames. I happen to need some time as well. I can't wait for him to live longer. Shiyu pondered for a moment before she realized that Wang Feng, a native heavenly god, did not even have his own divine domain, let alone develop it. If he wanted to catch up to that native heavenly god in a short period of time, he would need time. Now that you mention it, that false god is actually helping you. Shiyu pondered for a moment. No, it's not helping me. Wang Feng's lips curved into a smile. It's because he's extremely confident in the Divine System universe. The gods of the Divine System universe, from birth to adulthood, in addition to cultivating their own divine domains, basically take tens of thousands of years. To cultivate one's own divine domain, it would take at least tens of thousands of years. A native heavenly god is not walking the path of the Divine System universe at all. Not to mention cultivating a divine domain, it would take a lot of time just to open one's own divine domain. In 100 days, you can't even find the embryo of a divine domain. What do you think a genius god of the Divine System universe thinks a native heavenly god can do in 100 days? We can't do anything. Shiyu fell silent. Indeed. In that fake god's expectation, the worst outcome is that I, a native heavenly god, break the rules of the war between gods with my own strength, then get caught by the law enforcement gods of the Divine System universe and be tried in the highest godly court of the Divine System universe. Wang Feng said leisurely, the best outcome is naturally that I'm going to break the rules of the war between gods and be defeated by him. And if I want to break the rules of the war between gods, I must have a divine domain of my own. In his opinion, in these 100 days, a native heavenly god should have just enough time to open one. Shiyu was shocked. You mean, he's deliberately giving you this time? Not long, not short, enough for you to understand certain rules, but not to be forced to break the rules of the war between gods. Of course. The gods of the divine system universe are all high-level beings, they're not stupid. So that fake god won't set the time as soon as possible. Instead, he'll give me a time when I, a native heavenly god, am confident that I can use this time to understand and have some hope of winning the war between gods, and not be forced to break the rules of the war between gods. To put it simply, he'll give you a little bit of hope. That fake god thinks that a native heavenly god is powerful and must be extremely confident in himself. Even if there's a little bit of hope, it's enough for him to defeat everything with this little bit of hope. You don't say. His calculations are very accurate. That's exactly what I'm thinking now. Wang Feng smiled. Shi Yu, however, was not happy. Wang Feng had made a trip to the dark demon world, and obviously already knew the information he wanted to know. However, he was so optimistic, and the fake god's calculations were so accurate. Don't worry. I already have a plan, Wang Feng said slowly. Next, I'm going to make a trip to other universes. 100 days' time is actually enough. Where are you going? Angel Nebula. Angel Nebula. The Angel Nebula had expanded a lot during Tian Xiao Wang's era. The angel warriors guarding outside the nebula had cold and solemn expressions, looking at the silent universe starry sky. There was not a trace of relaxation in their eyes. Although Tian Xiao Wang's power shook the universe, there were still many rascals. For example, the queen of the demon nebula, who was once Holy Keisha's biological sister, chose to walk another path because of her ideology. There was also the death god Karl of the dark nebula, who was waiting for an opportunity in another corner of the universe. As the mastermind behind the plan to destroy Holy Keisha, Karl, who thought he could gain an ally when Tian Xiao Wang established the Dark Order and became Tian Xiao Wang's queen, suffered a destructive blow from Tian Xiao Wang. However, Karl, who had become a void creature, was already standing at the highest point of the entire universe. Even Tian Xiao Wang could not kill him, and could only intimidate him. These forces, to the current Angel Nebula and the Light and Dark Universe Alliance that unified the entire universe, were all hostile forces hidden in the dark. However, they were not much of a threat. At this moment, a valiant figure suddenly flew out of the light gate outside the Angel Nebula. It was a female angel with a pair of white wings and short, fluttering golden hair. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.